Yeah, right, music, no. Okay.
Why is there green light on my track AR? I have never seen that before.
I think I hear. I think I hear some audio on your stream, Kevin.
Yep, I think that's coming through now. Right, sorry about that, just an OBS issue. That's part of the reason why I am doing this stream, but that is all functioning now. So sorry about that, everybody. So to recap what I thought I was saying, that is now apparently actually coming through. This is really just an experimental stream to bug fix stuff, like what just happened, and also for everyone to learn how to fly the JF. And the session should have started now, so whenever you're ready, Judas, take it away and tell us how to fly the JF-17 in DCS World.
I shall do my best. Right, I do seem to have accidentally turned into a Jeff salesman. So, like all salesmen, I have a sales pitch to start with. So,
oh, great.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so current plan is I'm going to go through a brief, I'll try and keep it very brief, rundown on the Jeff as a plane and a module within DCS. Then I'm going to go through the control setup with you, and finally we're going to go into a multiplayer mission, just a practice one. I'll talk you through the cold start using my checklists, and then we're going to blow some stuff up using all the Jeff toys. So if anyone's got a question or misses a step out in things I'm going through, just shout up and I'll try and help. Don't worry about interrupting, we'll just I'll stop and make sure everyone's up to the same point.
There's one thing.
Go on.
Are you going to go over special settings for the Jeff? Because those are actually pretty important.
I am, yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure that was on your checklist.
Yeah, no worries. No, I'm hopefully been quite thorough, but yeah, there's every chance I may forget something, so just keep an eye out. Right then, JF-17. It came out of a requirement to replace the Mirage 5, the Chinese versions of the MiG-19 and the MiG-21. It is an absolute hodgepodge of a plane. You've got a MiG-29 engine with a MiG-21 gun, with F-16 inspired avionics, and an F-16 pretty much carbon copy throttle. And despite the meme that it's the F-16 from Wish.com, it was never actually intended to replace the F-16, but instead it was supposed to be a cost-effective sort of companion to it, to complement the Viper at about half to a third the cost. But real world stuff aside, I think of it somewhere between a modern take on the F-20 Tiger Shark and the MiG-21. It's a lightweight, cheap alternative to the meta big boys, the F-14, 15, 16, 18 and so on. It can do loads of things really well, but it can't do everything at once because it's so lightweight. And just to give you a bit of context, a fully loaded Hornet weighs twice as much as a fully loaded Jeff, and a Strike Eagle could quite happily take 2 of them in its payload carrying capacity. It is tiny. So as such, it's really not good if you want to use it as a dumb bomb truck. It just can't carry enough. Where it excels is when it's using its high-tech arsenal. But even on things like Cold War contention 80s, it's still got things like its laser rockets, and its sidewinders on there are perfectly serviceable for the era. On really modern stuff, it gets superb Fox 3s, but which make up for the not so great sidewinders in really modern setting. But if I'm honest, I'm not too much of a fan of Fox 3 combat. That high tech comes as well. It's really user friendly, and hopefully you'll find it very intuitive as well. And I'm hoping the demonstration will show that. In terms of the module, it was on release, it was 90% complete, which is pretty much unheard of in DCS circles. If you look at the patch notes, every time the Hornet and Viper have reams of this, that and the other getting fixed or added. Jeff doesn't really get that because it's pretty much there. And the developer Decker is really responsive to bugs. Generally, bugs are fixed the patch after they appear, so if you get this module, you're getting something that's really solid. And it's got features that either no or very few other modules have. You get a working data cartridge, properly modeled IFF systems to the point where it can distinguish individual codes. It's got systems modelling that takes into account things like electronics overheating and cascade failures, which can make getting back home after battle damage really interesting. It's got environmental systems model, so you get things like canopy fogging, and the pilot's teeth will chatter if you sit on the tarmac with the canopy open and it's cold. And then overall, you just have to have absolutely massive attention to detail. If you try and upload the data cartridge without opening the canopy, the ground crew will bang on the canopy. So yeah, in short, I think it's a brilliant module for anyone new to DCS, anyone new to modern, or anyone who's looking for something new within DCS. It's a complete underdog, and it's and yet extremely capable when you use it correctly. And I will hold my hands up, I'm a complete aerospace nerd, and I'd never heard of this thing 4 years ago before DCS. But I've absolutely fallen in love with it. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Right, so pitch over.
Already sold me.
Well,
So,
I
current plan, then.
love how your reaction to the Jeff when you learned about it was the same exact as mine, where it's just, this thing exists, the fuck is this? Oh my god, I love it.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. And
It was literally
yeah,
my first module I bought, other than
Yep,
like
same.
buying the SG-33 to try the game out with an
Absolutely.
actual fighter.
I did my research, and this was my very first module, and I don't regret it. I got the Hornet a couple of years later, and I've probably got about 2 hours in it. I haven't even got the Viper. For modern, this does it for me.
Nice.
And the
Right.
special settings
Fair
are
enough.
literally the icing on the cake.
Yes,
Quite
there is an
literally.
icing on the cake option. Yeah. Right. So
I feel
if
it
everyone,
does.
right, let's all go to options and go into controls and make sure JF-17 is on the drop down. And
Give me
what?
1 second, I had to relaunch my DCS.
No
Before
worries.
you go to controls, please.
No worries. Current plan is I'm going to go down and point out what I think are the really important controls, and explain roughly what they do if it's not immediately obvious, and then you assign something you think is relevant to that with your current setup. Obviously I don't know your setups or how many hats you've got or whatever, but I'll point out what it is, what it does, and how important I think it is, and you can make a decision on getting something assigned to it, and then you can obviously tweak and so on. One of the nice things about the JF, I don't know about the Hornet or the Viper, but pretty much everything, every single MFCD button can be assigned to something. Switches work they've got things like simulation mode, on, off, and so on. There's so much customization to it. I couldn't possibly go over everything I've got set up, but if I give you the headlines, you can then fly a mission, and as you then progress with the module, if you choose to go with it, you can then tweak it to how you want.
Sounds good.
Okay, I am back in game and ready to go over
Cool.
stuff. You are.
So on the JF-17 controls, and make sure we've got all but Axis commands selected. We'll go through those first, and scroll all the way down to deploy jettison parachute. And the first one you want is deploy jettison parachute, deploy/off. And that's a dead useful one. As soon as you get the wheels down, you can press that, drop your chute, and get a really short field landing.
Hey, I already bounded. Woohoo!
Cool.
Does this also function as a second click to cut off the chute?
No, I've set mine. I've set my stick to generate another command on the same button, having a long press, and then assign that to cut off. But you don't really need it, to be honest, because the important thing is to deploy it. Once you're slowed down and stopped, you've got all the time in the world to pick your mouse up and click on the physical switch in the cockpit to cut it off. It's more you want the button at your fingertips. So as soon as you get it down, you can pop the chute. Keep going down to what's the next one? There are surprisingly few actually at the top part of the controls. Flaps. So you want one for flap switch down and flap switch up.
Flaps. Where the fuck are the flaps? There they are.
Yeah, and that's useful both for obviously landing, but also for taking off if you're heavy, and they can be used as combat flaps. I've had quite a lot of success flying against the AI. If you get really low, if you get really slow, you can drop the flaps, and it makes a noticeable difference. And I've never managed to rip them off yet. There is a yet, of course.
There's always a chance.
Yeah. Keep going down to what's the next one? Kneeboard should already be set up, so just double check you've got kneeboard next page. The default is right square bracket. Kneeboard on off is right shift K, and kneeboard previous page is left square bracket. We're going to need those to go through the startup checklists. Next one is landing gear lever down and landing gear lever up. And I like to have those as separate ones rather than a toggle, and then I know exactly which way the gear's coming up or down.
And what's the difference between landing gear up and down and landing gear lever up and down?
Lever is the actual control in the cockpit. I don't know actually, but I think landing gear up, landing gear down, and so on. That is a game setting, but don't quote me on that one. All I know is I have landing gear lever down and landing gear lever up, and that moves the control lever in the cockpit, and that moves the gear. Mm-hmm. It's quite important to get that right, because if you take off in a lightly loaded JEF on full reheat, you've got to bring your gear up pretty quickly or it'll jam down.
Was it landing gear lever or landing gear? Sorry, I was...
Landing gear lever down, and no worries, landing gear lever down and landing gear lever up are the ones I've got and that work.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't clear the bind, so it had like default binds and stuff.
Yeah, no worries.
God damn it.
No worries. Now I have loads of the, as I say, loads of the MFCD ones assigned, but I won't go through those with you because they are. You click on them with the mouse when you're doing things, and you'll realise you'll need certain buttons quite often, so you can then decide yourself what you want to assign them to. I've got things like gun feed and zoom in and zoom out of the horizontal situation display, but like I say, you'll figure those out as you go.
Yeah, gun feed's the one I'm like,
Yeah, master arm switch.
The
Master
zoom
arm
in,
switch
zoom out
arm.
is though I think also mapped on the hotels, right? The one of the
It is,
your
the-
S keys.
Yes, in some modes, yes. But in some modes, it's the radar zoom in and out. So I quite like to be able to zoom the MFCD at the same time.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, next one you need is master arm switch arm and master arm switch off. Again, it's not. I wouldn't say that one's an absolute critical one because you can click it with the mouse, but it's quite a nice one to have.
I usually just have I just master arm on when I take off, so
That's fine then.
yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
Imagine not fencing in on the taxiway, SMH.
To be honest, I do that myself, and it's yeah. We're all. I'm very much guilty of that. I just like to have that ability to turn it on or off at will if I need to.
Gotta get the immersion.
Another nice one, and I will tell you now, is the master warning, because she does like to complain a lot. So
Caution.
yes,
Caution.
missile.
Missile.
It's the most soothing "you're about to die" you'll ever hear.
Yup.
I'm
But,
used to
yeah,
the master version from the Mirage F1, but that's not as soothing though, so that's fine.
Yep. So master warning, I say, is a nice to have if you have the space. Keep going down to. Make sure you've got. It's quite handy to have rearming and refueling window. It should have a default in there.
My
yeah,
usual one.
Yeah, just leave that to whatever. Right, we're about to get onto the meaty ones. So, where they are, S1_, that is the start of the physical hats on the HOTAS stick. So, S1 is the sensor, is the selection of which MFCD you want. Now that's
Okay,
quite
so-
important.
so
You
it's
want-
like the coolie on the A10.
I haven't got the A10, but
Okay.
quite possibly. Yeah, if Kev says yeah. Yeah. So what that does is that allows you. There's a little asterisk which tells you which is active. When you press S1 backwards, switches between the HUD and the central MFCD. Left is the left MFCD, and right is the right MFCD, and that is really important. So you can select which one to choose, and then forwards goes into dogfight mode. And again, that's really
Used
nice to
that
have.
a little bit. S1 looks like it cycles between all of them. At least what it says. Does it not actually?
Say again.
S1 back says it cycles between all four. Does it not actually?
If it has, I've never noticed that. I thought it went only between the HUD and the.
Yeah, 'cause it says cycle MFCD select left, center, right.
Yeah. I would suggest you do it my way to begin with, and if you find it does something else, then by all means change it. But it's if you have a 5-way hat, that is one of the ones you should select. Backwards, forwards, left, right, and press. And press is effectively return. It's the cancel.
Okay, so left selects the left MFCD.
Yep. So S1 left is the left MFCD. S1 right is the right MFCD. S1 backwards toggles between the HUD and the center MFCD. And S1 forwards enters air-to-air dogfight mode.
Okay, then I think I have them. And press is
And press is return.
It's to
effectively
the
returns.
previous.
Yeah, effectively previous. Yeah.
Okay. Using the same 5 head I have on the A10 for switching the
Yep.
toys.
The next one is S2, and that is the way the Jeff works. It's very it goes into layers. So depending on which mode you're in and what you're doing, the S1 will allow you to select things, and then S2 will change things within that particular mode. So for example, say you're in dogfight mode, the S2, by moving it to various points, will either be bore sight, vertical tracking, narrow, things like that. So it's sort of like the detail of what you've selected. So again, S2 is another important one, and S2 press is unlock, has the extra function of unlock target. So S2, forwards, backwards, left, right, and press are important ones.
Yeah, again, very similar to the A10 actually. It's DMS or DMS and an A10. It's a bit mixed. It's
Yeah.
very easy in the Jeff though.
It's very similar to the 16's dogfight mode as well.
Then is this left, forward, and backwards. Okay, I have those.
Cool. Next one is S3 weapons launch. So that's pickle and fire missiles. Obviously, you'll need that one. Next one is fire S4 fire main gun.
I wonder what that is.
But that only works if you click gun and
Yes.
feed, right?
Yes,
you need to
I will-
click
Yep.
both.
Yeah, I will go through this. Strangely, the philosophy of the Jeff, from what I can gather, was the gun is very much an afterthought. It's quite good for air to ground, and it's the sight for air to ground is really quite good. But for air to air, it's really not. It's angled, I think from memory, 2.5 degrees down.
Yeah, 2.5.
And so you've got to lead a stupid amount. It's a MiG-21 gun, so the fire rate's fine, but it's very low velocity rounds. So you've got to lead more. They give you 3 not very good gun sight options because the gun isn't that important for air to air. It's one of these. It's a pyrotechnical loading system. So the gun itself weighs half as much as something like an Avenger. Not Avenger. What's the Vulcan?
Vulcan.
So it's lightweight. It's nice to have, but it's by no means a headline weapon. So to actually fire the gun in the air to air, you're absolutely right. You've either got to you've got to put your S1 forward to get into dogfight mode, S1 forward again to engage the gun, wait for the gun to engage, then you've got to feed it, and then you can fire it.
Jesus.
So it's the gun is not a fun thing in the Jeff. It's one of the things
Yeah.
that is.
It's amazing for air to ground though, because
Yeah.
unlike the A10 and other aircraft, your fucking CCIP impact point isn't like halfway off the top of your HUD. You know?
it's brilliant because it's angled down. Exactly, it's really
That is
good
my
for air
one
to ground.
annoyance with the A10 is why the fuck is the HUD not tall enough to where you can only see like the top half of your impact point when you're firing the gun?
So yeah. So that's it. So that's the reason for fire main gun. You'll need it, but you won't need it that often. Right, next one is S5 change / unselect weapon station / NWS, and that's dead useful. But you obviously need it to select nose wheel steering when you're on the ground. But what that does is it cycles between different weapons of the same type. So I generally don't use it that often. It's a useful thing to have, but is not that critical. So if you shorter buttons, you can put it to something on the keyboard to engage or disengage nose wheel steering, and you probably won't need it that much.
Put a caveat in here for that. When you fire a weapon off on the Jeff, let's say you have LD10s anti-rads on, you fire one off the left wing. if you go to a different mode, so you get jumped, and then go back into air to ground to re-engage, it will once again select left-hand side, so then you'll have no missiles on the left, 2 on the right, and be very unbalanced.
Yep.
So it is
Yep, that's
useful
very
for that
true.
sort of situation.
Yep, that's very true. Right, next one is trim. S6 down, left, right, up. Trim nose up, left, right, down. Whatever you have as your normal trim.
You guys use trim?
It's not critical in the Jeff.
I
It's-
I had it bound for the longest time in the Jeff, and I'm like, I never used this.
The only time I suggest you need it is I sometimes use it on Final Approach, and you definitely need it when you've got an asymmetric loadout, because it's such a small plane. Or if you fire a weapon off one wing but not the other, because it's such a small plane, you really notice it.
Yeah, that is true. I no longer have a hat for it though, so we're just forgoing trim this time around.
That's fair enough. Right, next one is again, this is a nice to have, the autopilot off mode. It's quite useful for if you get jumped, but it's not critical.
Speaking of autopilot, is there a way to just quickly tell it keep current altitude?
Yes,
Yes.
you've got to. I cheat on mine. You've got to go. How do I do this? You've got to engage autopilot. You click once to engage autopilot, and then you click a second button on the up front to engage altitude hold mode.
Okay, so,
So
it is
what-
not one quick button like in the A10 or the big.
No, but what I've
Yeah.
done is I've cheated, and I've made one press of a button do the attitude
Two
hold
things.
mode, and then I've done turn on attitude hold mode, and then when I release that button, turn on altitude hold mode. So one physical press does 2 things and engages altitude hold mode.
What does the option autopilot @/alt do? Isn't that, or isn't that the altitude hold?
It could well be. I set this up a while ago, and while they don't make major changes, the Jeff developers do sometimes add quality of life things in. So it's quite possible that exists, and I've missed it.
Oh, I try that. Let's see.
Okay, there's on off at. That's probably not. That would be attitude.
That's only the
above
attitude.
That is alt.
Yeah, you don't. Again, at this stage, it's perfectly fine to select things like autopilot using mouse clicks on the up front, and then when you realise how much you need it, you can then start tweaking. The last one on here is S8 change weapons, and that is really useful. That will swap between different air-to-air weapons and different air-to-ground weapons. Next one is score window. For some reason it seems to put weird buttons for that, so just make sure you've got whatever you want assigned to that. Everyone okay up to now?
Yep.
Yep.
Coming down to speed brake. Now again, you each have, I'm sure people have their own ways of doing this. I like speed brake on/off, and I have a button that I press and hold to engage the speed brake.
Yeah, that's the way I do it as well.
Yeah, so that is the one for that, but there's also a throttle button, a physical HOTAS throttle button, which is engage, toggle engage on and toggle engage off, which I also have as a separate control. But I like having speed brake on off to my one of the throttle buttons that I can hold to get speed brake and then release, and the speed brake will go away. It's quite nice
because
because
T3 stuff.
yes, that's right. Yeah, it's a T3 one, but this speed brake on/off is a gamification of that control. Effectively, it's one of the, again, like I say, it's a nice quality of life thing, because you can do the same thing. I like having the same thing in the MiG-21, but it's a toggle, so I have to have, when I release the button off turns off the speed brake, and sometimes it gets confused and it gets backwards. So it's nice that this just does it. It does it automatically. Right, coming down to the T1s. So we've got T1, 2, 3, and so on. Now the first one is T1 backwards AG, T1 center nav, and T1 forward BVR. Those are your 3 master modes. Now they don't have to be on a hat. When I had an old Cytec X52, I had it on a 3-way switch. But you definitely need something for them, because so much of what the Jeff does requires you to be in either air-to-air mode, navigation mode, or air-to-ground mode. So make sure
I've got it
it's
on
not...
the equivalent of the boat switch for those.
Yep, a boat switch would do it really well. Yeah. So the 3 are T1 forward should be position 1. T1 forward BVR, that's air-to-air. T1 center nav should be in position 2, and T1 backwards air to ground should be in position 3.
T1 forward BVR. Which one was it again?
But I suggest you have as the first one. If you have the middle one as nav, and then if you push it one way, you get air to air, and then you push it the other, you get air to ground. So you always come back to nav in the middle.
Yeah, I do not have one like this. I would have to use a hat and do one direction.
Don't waste a hat then. Maybe set it to keys 1, 2, and 3 or something on the keyboard. So 1 should be air to air, 2 nav, 3 air to ground. Similar to something like a FC3 plane.
And I will bind it to this hat for now, and I will see if I was.
That's fine. Just you will definitely need it during this because you go through the different modes to do different things. But yeah, again in the future you can tweak. Right, next one is T1 backward countermeasures dispense. That is your release countermeasures. So make sure you got that.
Backwards.
Sorry, T2 backwards even. Yes.
This is awkward. My normal countermeasure button is used for S1. Where do I put this then?
It won't be critical on this particular mission because there won't be a threat. But just maybe make a note to bear that one in mind.
I kind of bastardized my hats a bit with some of this stuff to keep continuity between aircraft for how I bind stuff.
No,
Yeah.
I might do some mixing of the S1.
Yeah, you can absolutely do that. I seem to remember I did that with the X52 when I had fewer hats on that. You can absolutely put things in various places.
I think I will.
Like my countermeasure dispense, it's not even on a hat; it's on a button.
Yep.
I think I will change S1 to another button, so I have my countermeasures where they should be.
Okay, cool.
What was it again? Which
T2
button?
backwards. Which one? The S1 or the T1?
T2 backwards countermeasure.
Yeah,
Okay,
T2
got it.
backwards countermeasure dispense. Yeah, I've got that on a button as well. And then T2 forward SPJ is the self-protection jammer, the ECM pod. I'd say that was a lesser priority one at this stage because it only functions if you're carrying the pod. But that effectively is the ECM pod on or off, and there are several modes you can select. So you do need it set to something to turn on the ECM pod, but not necessarily a HOTAS button. And the other one on T2 is T2 press, which is air-to-ground manual mode, and I've never really used that, and dogfight missile designated control, and that is a lot of words for uncage your sidewinders.
That is the uncage, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's well worth doing on the sidewinders because they have a surprisingly good seek ahead with a very long pickup range.
So what does that do? Because I mean, from what I found, they auto engage pretty normally.
Yes, but if you want to be stealthy and you haven't got your radar on, you can actually get some quite nice locks. If you uncage
No,
it.
I mean even once I put the fucking pipper on them, once it picks them up, it auto uncages for what I found.
Oh, it does.
Like,
yeah,
I
it does.
can-
It
I
does
can
auto
crank, like,
engage, but
45,
you've
50.
got to get your bore sight absolutely smack on them. Whereas if you
Yeah.
uncage it, you've got a much bigger area in which it can pick
Oh,
locks
so
up.
when it's uncaged, will it just kind of scan?
Yes,
in
it
code? Okay,
effectively has
so
a
that's
scan.
A scan.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other thing that's useful
So it's
for
like
is
PAL in the 14, sort of. But for
again,
a
I haven't got the 14, but
oh, God
I,
damn it.
yeah, I know. Sorry, I'm a weird one. The other thing it's useful for is if there are multiple aircraft in an area and your missile, your sidewinder locks onto the wrong one, you can press this and press this again, and it will effectively force it to stop locking, and then it can reset the lock. So like that mission we did with Kev with the huge waves of aircraft, if it locked onto, I don't know, say an SU-24 and you didn't want it to, you could press it and it would effectively reset it so you could try and get it on a Phantom. It's
Okay.
quite useful. Right, the next ones are T3 backwards, speed brake off, and T3 forward, speed brake on. Those are the toggles for your speed brake.
But we don't need them, right? Because we have.
You don't need them if you're happy to use just a single button press for your speed brake. There's no need. I have both set. So when I'm landing, I'll occasionally just turn the speed brakes on and leave them on. But for combat, I will only use the single button press because then I know if I release it, they're gone. I got burned by the F5. It's really annoying to see where the speed brakes are in that. So I generally try in combat. I try and keep it to a single button press that when I release, I know the speed brakes are off.
Almost like you can't see it because they're on the underside of the aircraft.
Well, they're on the underside, and there's no indicator. All you've got is the
Yep.
where the switch is on the throttle, which isn't massively clear.
Or, if your plane starts shaking because it's stalling out.
If it's an F5, it's generally stalling out. All the wings have come off.
True.
Right, next one is T4 backwards, Radiocom 2, and T4 forwards, Radiocom 1. I have those set to my radio communications buttons. So T4 forward, Radiocom 1, I have set to enter, and T4 backwards, Radiocom 2, I have as right shift and enter. And those are what I normally use for communications menu and push to talk in other aircraft.
I can't remember. For this one, do you need to have the in-game control bound for SRS? Because some aircraft
I don't believe
are
so.
like
But
you need to have the button bound in-game, and others
I
are.
think there's an
Just
option
use the
within
button
SRS to
on.
disable that, and I may have
Oh,
already
is
done
there
that.
now? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't
I-
bind that, and it's working with SRS. So
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't done that, and I've got those two bound and a separate button for SRS push to talk, and it works fine for me. But maybe I changed an SRS setting years ago and I've forgotten about it. So yeah, make sure you've got both those bound. You shouldn't need Radiocom 2, but it's more if you find yourself the radio's not working for whatever reason, you can just go shift and whatever it is, or I do shift enter, and then I've got another option just in case. You know it's weird
Radiocom
sometimes.
2 gets taken up by the IFF, doesn't it?
Yes, it does normally. Yeah, but it's more a just in case, that one, and I'm not losing out because I'm double binding a button.
Fair.
Right, next one is T4 press, IFF interrogation start stop.
Ooh. Now my buttons are getting very cluttered.
Yep. Again, that one is. I'd say you can probably do that on a keyboard if you're running out. You won't be doing it unless you're in air-to-air combat. You won't be doing it that frequently. But you will have to hold it down to get an IFF.
when do I use this? If I don't have any identification over data link, or
Data link's a funny one. If you pick an aircraft up over data link, it will have been IFF'd for you. If you then pick the same aircraft up over radar, you will lose the IFF because your radar is painting it and it's expecting you yourself to identify it.
Ah, that explains so much.
Yeah.
Basically, anything that pops into your radar will always be yellow,
Yellow, which is potential bogey, yeah.
bogey designations, yeah. I can't remember for this. Does it fucking just scan whatever you're locking, or does it scan the entire breadth of your radar?
I think it's the entire breadth, to be honest.
Okay, good. I just can't remember because I didn't really use it that much back when I flew with Jeff Dunn.
IFF with kill feed.
Yep. Right. Next one. We don't need T5. Well, no. I'll start again. I have an Axis hat which I use for the TDC, so I do not have T5 down, left, right, up. If you don't have a hat, if you don't have an Axis hat, then do T5 down, left, right, and up. That is your designated control for things like the radar TDC, the pod, moving the pod around, moving the Maverick Seeker around. It's all that.
Yup.
And definitely have T5 press set to something. That is your lock target button.
Same access, just a click.
Say again.
I also have the analog stick, and therefore.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, yeah. Use your analog. We'll come on to the Axis stuff in a minute, and then just make sure you've got something set for T5 press lock target.
And you actually use that button really well on the stacks? I can't.
Yes.
Every time I press it, I move the axis.
Yeah, I have that. I've had to set
That's
up
why
some
I create
dead
dead
zones.
zones on the axes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the best. I cheated. I've got a gladiator stick, and I've turned off the. I think on the stick originally on the little axis, you pressed it and it switched between a hat and an axis.
Yeah.
And I went in there, deleted that, so at all times it is both 4 buttons and an axis, and then whichever one I want, I bind to that particular aircraft, and then that frees up the press for the lock.
For me, it wouldn't let me delete the 8-way hat integration to that stick, so I just set it so that I have to hold it for an entire goddamn second to change modes.
That should work.
So it just lives in digital mode now.
Yep, cool. Right, so those are the S1s are the physical stick buttons on the aircraft, and the T1s are the physical throttle buttons, hats, and so on. So we've done all those now.
Wow, I would never have guessed.
Yeah, all are on the throttle because I
Yeah.
have nothing on the stick.
So where are we going?
Well, I think we still need wheel brakes.
Yeah, we will. I haven't forgotten that one because I do not have that set because I have pedals, and I've made a specific note to say, tell people to make a wheel brake one, because otherwise we are going to have lots of fun on the ground. Right. I don't know if any of you have the physical throttle detents, but I've got the idle to stop and stop to idle one set. It's a bit of a fancy immersion thing, but it's quite a nice thing to have. The MiG-21 only has a single one, which is throttle uncage or cage, which is a single toggle. So don't worry about that now, but you can have a play with that in the future. So you can map it so as you physically idle detent your throttle, the game will register that, and then when you physically move it out of idle detents, it will again do that in game. Keep going down to. Now I don't know if people will want to do this. The UFCP is the upfront control panel, and what I've done is I've made my numeric keys on the keyboard those buttons. So if I want to type in a number quickly, I can type it in on my physical keyboard.
You mean the num block?
Yes. Yeah,
I
so
think I will do the same.
UFCP button 0, I've set to 0, 3 to 3, and so on.
I did the same on the vegan for the number block.
Yes. Yeah, it's quite a useful thing to do.
But this was so many things.
Yeah, there's an awful lot on there. Maybe don't worry about that now, but it's a nice thing to know you can do that. Right, just keep coming down then. So I think we're nearing the end. Right.
Where's the one?
Yeah, right.
Clearly
Wheel
everyone needs
brakes.
to buy-
There.
Yep. Wheel brakes then. If you haven't got pedals, make sure you've got something for either wheel brakes on or wheel brake left on and wheel brake right on.
Clearly, everyone needs to bind the zeroizer button. Smile.
Yes, that's that's a fun one. I'll go over that briefly when we do the startup. The zeroizer is basically, yeah, you're not having this plane afterwards. And I think that's it for the all but axis commands. So if everyone does green OK and get back to the main menu to make sure all of that is saved, because Sozlor says someone's going to get a crash in a minute and we'll lose all that. So once you're back on the main menu, go back into options and controls and select axis commands from the drop down menu. And make sure you've got the obvious ones, so pitch, roll, rudder if you've got it, wheel brakes, T6 axis elevation is your zoom for the target for the targeting pod, and also your radar elevation. So make sure you've got something. If you have an axis set for that, that would be really helpful.
Where I use, what are those in the just buttons? Because it's rotor encoder, button up, button down.
That should work fine.
Well, because it's
can't stop changing your
it's
zoom
all
settings. Set a zoom view.
Yeah, I use zoom. I've got a zoom function and wheel brake left and right. Is anybody not able to bind that T6 axis? Because if you can't, I'll have to go and look and see what the keyboard bind are for it.
yeah.
I'm
Let's
not in
see.
T6 axis.
There's a
I'm
way.
not entirely sure what it is, to be honest.
There is a way to do it. I just don't fucking remember what it is.
Okay, I think I already have to do some changes.
Oh, it's the fucking it's sensor WD-17. That's what it is. It's the sensor WMD7 TV down and up. So that's radar
Yep, that's
elevation and zoom
Yep.
in and out.
Yep, that's it. Good spot.
Let's see. You go to that, and you go to this.
So back on axis commands then, just to go through it all, coming down from the top. I've got camera, horizontal view, camera vertical view, camera zoom view, track IR nonsense, and then I've got pitch, roll, rudder, T6 axis antenna elevation slide, or the buttons if you haven't got that. And then I've got TDC slew horizontal and TDC slew vertical. That is your moving the TDC around and also moving the targeting pod and your Maverick things around. Thrust, throttle, and then I've got wheel brake left, wheel brake right, and I've also got a zoom view small axis on the throttle. Everyone happy with that?
Yep, I'm Just having to go through and do my curvatures and dead zones.
Yeah, cool. I generally don't have a dead zone. I'm pretty sure I don't have a curve on the stick or on the pitch or the roll. I've got a custom curve on the throttle, so it will engage afterburner at my physical afterburner detent. But again, you can tweak that later. And on rudder, I've got one set up so that it's quite hard to go absolutely full pitch rudder. But again, you'll find that out. If you're flying, I think, above 450, 500 knots and go full rudder, you will lose your rudder. So just bear that in mind. So it might be worth putting a bit of a curve on that at some point. Not critical at the moment. So we'll come out of those again. Okay, get back to the main menu. And last one we're going to do is go options, special along the top, and go to the JF-17. And if you're there, hopefully you can see there is an awful lot of customization for the module, which is really nice. So if I go through these one by one, some of them I've never touched, but some of them are really useful. So starting on the left-hand side, customized cockpit, default, keyboard pitch control. I think that's for the man-in-the-loop cruise missiles. I've never changed that. I've got mine as auto recenter. Voice locale. I recommend EN1. That is the first of the two English voices. EN2 is a bit more sharp. EN2 is a bit more bitching Betty. EN1 is more soothing Susan. DMAP type, I use raster charts, which is the green type map, I suppose. The map out is more like a Russian KA-50 type map, the blue ones. Chaff bingo and flare bingo, I've just got that as 12 and 8, it doesn't really matter. And then if you keep going down, you've got your countermeasures programs. Now these look quite complicated, but generally what I've done is I've made program 1 identical to program 4 and 5. So it only has 3 effectively in the aircraft, because otherwise you have to cycle through all 5 to get back to 1. So I like to make 4 and 5 the same as 1 with all the settings, and then I only have 3. And then I have program 1, chaff and flares, program 2, chaff only, and program 3, flare only. And I've got all of the slides down to 1. And the reason is I'm not really a fan of countermeasure programs. I want to know if I press my countermeasures button, I'm either going to dump 1 chaff and 1 flare, 1 chaff or 1 flare. That's it. I don't really want to mess about with anything else. So again, you can just play with those to your heart's content. And from what I gather, if you're doing it in a Hornet or a Viper, you've got to do that every single mission. This, you can set it here and it's done. And then when you load your data cartridge up, it's all there. So by all means, play with that up to your heart's content. Coming down again to the bottom little blue boxes, I select hide stick because I like looking at the stick slightly blocks the center MFCD. By all means, have the stick visible for your first few flights, just while you're getting used to it, and then you can choose to hide it.
To get rid of it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You can click on the base and it'll hide it, and you click on the same spot and it'll bring it back. So you can do it in mission. I've got testing feature ticked. It doesn't really seem to do that much. I think it's where they add new features in. I've never really noticed much. I've not got T6 opposite axis direction. What that does is the little axis you set to control the zoom for the targeting pod and the radar antenna, that gives you the option of making those go the other way, which is really nice. I've got that unticked, which means when I push the lever forwards, my radar pitch will go down and it will zoom in. But if you want it the other way around, you can select that and then have them, and then invert the axis if you want. I've got icing on the.
Still exists,
Say again.
I don't know why that exists still, because you could just go into the axis, tune the axis, and invert it there as well now.
But that's
you
the
can
point.
actually
It's
do that in server.
but it's the same axis, is what I'm saying. So if you want your radar pitch, if for whatever reason, if you want the stick forwards to put your pitch up, but you still want stick forward to zoom it in, this gives you the option to get around that.
Okay.
That's the point. They've actually thought about it and gone, well, people might want to do that, so we'll give them that option. Not many people may, but it just, to me, it just shows the sort of level of thought they've gone into with this, and how they want to make not only the real aircraft, they want to make the module user friendly.
Yeah.
I tick remove air-to-air refueling probe. Again, if you want to leave it, you can leave it on, and then on the ground through your utilities menu, you can get rid of it. But it's probably about a 30-second process. So again, just for convenience, I get rid of it. The only time you ever want it is when you want to refuel. It's not retractable, and it does block the view a bit. So unless you're doing air-to-air refueling,
why it's just get rid of it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, unless you know there's going to be air-to-air refueling, I don't take it. And then music number, there is you can put .ogg files into a certain folder, and there's a one of the non-functioning buttons on the upfront display functions as a music player, so you can turn your Jeff into a CD player, which is again a really nice little feature.
Does this transmit over radio?
I don't believe so, but
I
it
don't
wouldn't
think
surprise
so.
me if they have some way to do that.
The F4
it's-
has a similar function.
Yeah, it's just I think the Tomcat does well. It's just a lovely little thing. I ripped the music from the JF-17 trailer and put that in there. So occasionally I turn that on during a dogfight, which is quite nice. Right. Going back up to the top of the middle column, cockpit model, I've got that set to visual quality. Gun sight. None of them are brilliant. I'll be totally honest. The two modes are, you've got two modes and then a combination of those two modes. LCOS is lead computing optical sight. That is a gyro. The thing to remember is it's a gyro. It's not a fancy radar locking gun sight. It won't tell you where to fire if you haven't been physically tracking the aircraft you're following for about a second. It's sort of a fancier version of something like the Sabre. They really went cheap on this one. The other one is SS, which it's not quite as bad as it sounds. It's Snapshot, and that is a line of historic bullet trails if you were to fire at this particular moment. That can be quite useful because it shows you if you're yawing and you're not flying in a coordinated way for whatever reason.
Like the M2K.
I don't know. From what I gather, the M2K doesn't have a great gun sight, but I think that even that is preferable to this. And then SSLC is you've got the snapshot line and superimposed over that the lead computing optical one. Now for a long time I used SSLC just because I thought, well, I may as well have everything. I've actually started gravitating more now towards LCOS simply because there is less gubbins on the screen and I can use the bore sight as my aimer, and I pretty much ignore the gun sight now. I ignore the prediction
Actual
stuff,
differ.
and I just try and use it as I would a World War II aircraft. I try and physically calculate lead, knowing that on top of the fact that I've got a lead with a low velocity gun, I've then got to add on 2.5 degrees. Pretty much, you want to get in on top of them, but if you get one hit in, you can take a wing off. So it's not all bad. It's a powerful gun.
The fucking 30 mil.
It's I think it's 23 mil thinking about it, but yeah, it's
no, the Jeffs don't have the 23. They have the 30. They have the 30.
Oh really?
too.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know that. It certainly seems to smack, so that would explain it. Right, next one is the gun limiter. I have that off. That
Off.
absolutely
Just
drives
off.
me round the bloody bend. It's the same sort of thing as you've got on the flanker and the fulcrum. You'll be just about to get the perfect shot, and your plane will go, no, you've had your rounds now. You've got to release and put the trigger back. Screw that. Turn that off. And then MITL, which is man in the loop missile control mode. I have that as traction. I've not really done too much with the man in the loop missile. Play around with those options, see which you prefer.
You need the special pod, right, to steer that missile then?
Yes,
Yeah, you
yes.
need the,
That's the only
data
time.
link
And
pod.
again, it's a common misconception with the aircraft. It's called the data link pod. You don't need the data link pod to get data link over your horizontal situation display. You only need the data link pod when you want to carry that man in the loop missile. And you're absolutely right. So if you want to use those man in the loop missiles, which is the C802 AKG off the top of my head,
AKG.
you have to have that data link pod, and that's the only time you ever take it, just to really hammer that point home. Because I've seen people take the data link pod and go, "No, Jeff's rubbish. You have to carry a pod around for data link." No.
no, you do that.
Right. Last column is the dead zones. I suggest you start with all those set to the dead zones and the slew rate. I suggest you set dead zone as whatever you'd normally have for that axis dead zone, and then all the others to 1 to begin with, and then as you get used to it you can tweak. I've got dead zone as 0. I've got all the other ones as 1, with the exception of the WMD-7 TDC slew rate, which I have all the way up to 2, and that's simply because it does slew quite slowly, so I like being able to slew. I've got a curve on that, and then I can slew it fast or I can slew it slow. All the others are fine as 1.
The one thing that I have a gripe about for this, and it's more of a DCS is at fault problem, is the fact that you cannot adjust these in-game. You have to go back to the main menu to touch these, because they're special settings.
Yeah, I agree. But Jeff people thought it's clearly a bugbear, we're going to make it an option.
Yeah, no,
And the fact that you can tweak it, the same axis can be tweaked between different things is just a godsend. It really is, because if I had to put the slew rate up for the WMD-7 high, I couldn't ever lock onto anything with the radar because it would just be too sensitive.
Yeah.
So the fact that they've thought about that and allowed it to be a different slew rate for the same thing is, again, it just screams quality to me. I know I'm in my salesman mode, but honestly, it's brilliant.
The only thing what they don't have is the detent precision of the afterburner, that you can't adjust that one.
Yes,
That's
I agree.
the only thing where this would be nice.
Yes, I completely agree. That would be nice. And to be honest, I've got used to very few modules having that. So I've got an Excel spreadsheet that can work it out roughly for you, and then you can tweak the Excel spreadsheet, and you use the slider, the custom curve to make it as straight as possible, and yet curve around the point of afterburner engagement. So I've got it really nicely. The physical detent on my stick is dead center of the afterburner engagement zone. So with a bit of tweaking, you can get around that one. But yeah, I don't disagree. That would be a very nice thing to have. Right. So that is all the.
Hour.
Yeah, I know. I said I'll be doing this thoroughly. So we're an hour in, but hopefully you'll have all the major controls set up, and you have a vague idea of what things do. And I've been through the special menu.
Just looked at my phone, I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's been an hour.
I'm a technical writer. I do detail.
We did only
you're fine. It just didn't feel like it's an hour.
We did only chapter 2 in the Chuck's guide, so
Yeah,
a couple of more hours to go.
Yeah, I hope you've got a. This is like a week-long course. You signed up now. You can't get out.
Hope
And
you guys
you-
got lots of
also-
caffeine.
And you expect payment at the end.
I've already
Well,
taken the
week-long
payment.
Oh,
He's
but
paid in Jeff.
You can donate to his Ko-Fi though if you want.
Right, let me get the server set up, and we'll go and.
You just seem like someone who would have a Ko-Fi just sitting around.
Let me get the server set up. I put the login details on the Discord.
Yeah, let me find those.
I'll give you a shout when it's up.
I have to remember that one S1 button is on another head.
I think to be honest, I think I did that myself. I think I split up some of the physical controls to make it work with other modules. The only reason I have it now is because I have 5-way hats. When I didn't have 5-way hats, yeah, absolutely.
I changed it to be as close as possible to other planes I have.
Yep, I like to do that as well. Wherever possible, I like to have things read across different modules. It makes it so much easier.
Thompson points out that it would be nice if they added certain percentage throttle as the afterburner gate, like Heatblur did with the F-14.
Yeah, someone just mentioned that now, but
Yeah,
absolutely,
that's what
that
me.
would be a really
that
good
was,
point.
Yeah, that was me. But honestly, I think it's around 80%, so it's not that bad. So
Yeah.
I think it's quite consistent. So
Yeah. So yeah, the server's up now if you want to try and get in.
Yeet.
Oh, I need
Let's
to
try
check
to-
their credentials again.
Server.
Someone called Player has joined.
Yeah, because yeah, it's probably me.
What was the server name
Because
again?
all my settings are fucking
Jeff
gone
Time.
right now. Honestly, maybe I'll fix that real quick. Or DCS can crash. I will go kill myself.
Well, at least you can, when you come back in, at least you can change your name, and hopefully all your
Yeah.
settings will be saved.
Yeah, it should be fine.
So what I've done is I've not used dynamic slots. I've just used fixed spawn slots, and you should see 20 available aircraft. 1 through 12. The tail numbers 1 through 12 are the ones we're going to be using. We're not going to do the air spawns yet. So I've got 12 ground cold starts we're all going to use. I've then got 4 air starts using the C701s, which are the Mavericks, because Flame wanted a demonstration of those. And then I've got 4 air start ones with the same setup as the ground start, and that's for the inevitable when somebody has a whoopsie, so we can pick back up without having to go through a full cold start.
I love just looking at Kevin's stream and seeing input device plugged, input device unplugged.
Yeah, I didn't have
Repeatedly.
my head thing turned on, so it shut itself. There we
I
go.
see.
I am in a jet.
Now, what I've done is I've let me unpause it actually. So try not to break anything. What I've done is I've set it so we all have unlimited fuel, because the Jeff has famously short legs, and I didn't want anyone running out of fuel and spoiling their day. So don't think the Jeff can go on magically forever. I've cheated on this mission, but you can die, so try not to bin it. But as I say, I've got some backups if that does happen. I've enabled external views so you can have a look around. You check your tail number. Now, whichever one you selected, just try and remember your tail number, and if not, just get an F2 view and note your tail number down. The reason is I've assigned us all laser codes depending on that tail number, so we don't accidentally cross laser targets.
fancy. I just wanted to change my laser codes, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not as fancy as that. I just didn't want us all to have the same laser code, and the laser rockets just go mental when they get 5 different pinging lasers.
The default layout, it's correct that it's having the GBU GB6s, or is it just
Yes,
for me?
that's what we're going to be using.
Cool.
I've set it up so we've got a load of targets for the GB6s. And then a separate load of targets for the laser rockets, and then if you want we can go and do some strafing with the gun, and then we can dump all the external stores, and you can have a go at just flying it round unloaded and seeing what it's like there.
What the heck is that little turret on the right wing?
Little turret on the right wing.
That little dome thing with a thing pointing to the back. It looks like a turret.
I'm really not seeing what you mean.
I posted it in Discord.
Let me have a look. Oh, that.
It's
I have no idea. It must be something. It looks like a nav light.
It's a fucking light. It's a nav
It
light.
looks like a nav light, yeah.
Oh.
Right. Let me have a look then. So
Isn't
are we
that
all
the
in?
missile warning system?
It could well be, yeah.
I think that's the warning system. Oh no, those are your
Yeah, they're
navigation
the
lights.
they're the nav lights. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
because
those
you've
are
got
nav
the static discharge thing behind it. It's the angle you're looking at it.
Oh, I forgot. My track error isn't properly fucking set up. So I don't know if these coefficients are good or not. I'm gonna kill myself.
Probably are actually.
No, because I lost my fucking boot drive, dude. That's why I don't have any of my
Oh
settings.
yes, I remember you saying, "Oh man, that sucks." Sorry to hear that.
That's why I don't have any of my keybites for
Oh
all my
yeah,
aircraft.
that's painful.
Lost track IR. I don't have fucking SRS right now.
No. Right, well, just do as best you can, and there are no enemy combatants. We're just going up against inert targets, so
Yeah,
don't fret about
you're
that.
fun to start whenever. I know how to fucking.
Okay,
set the
cool.
Jeff.
Right,
You're fine.
right. So if everyone can go to the F10 menu to begin with, and zoom out, and you'll see a load of text on there. If you look at the purple box, that is your laser code that I've assigned to you. So if you just want to make a note of that, it's not absolutely critical that you use that one. It's just so that we all use a different one.
Is it already set up like this?
No,
or
no, it's set
Okay,
up as the default. So you'll need to make a note and then set it manually to that. You also see things like JKYA 1234, JKYB 1234, and so on. What they are in-game codes that you can put to waypoints. And when you put those in and tell your ground crew to update the data cartridge, it will input those as various things. This is absolutely fantastic for multiplayer, because you can go into a multiplayer mission where there's no waypoint set up, no target points, anything like that. You don't have to go and find the exact coordinates of that point. You can put a single mark on the map, put the right code in, boom, update data cartridge, everything is in. So the blue ones, FPA 1, 2, and 3, those are the 3 waypoints. So that'll be waypoint 1, target 1, waypoint 2, target 2, waypoint 3, coming back to base. If you zoom in on FPA 1, you'll see a load of ones that say JF-1, PP1, JF-2, PP1, and so on.
Are these already entered, or do we have to manually?
No. We're going to do those now. I'm going to talk you through it, but I'm just explaining what these all are. So PP1 is a pre-planned target. So what we're going to do is each one of those, whichever Jeff you're in, you pick the right one, and we're going to add a mark on there, and then you will set, before you take off, you will set the target for your cruise missile cluster bombs. And that's the blue ones explained, the green ones explained, and the red ones we're going to add some airspace markings. And again, these are a relatively new addition. What you can do is you can box in an area, and on your horizontal situation display, those same boxed in lines will show up. And it's fantastically useful if you're flying close to a front line. You can draw out your friendly airspace, draw out the enemy airspace, and then you can see exactly where you are, on which side of the lines you're at. I did this on Kev's mission where we were trying to defend we were defending against that tank push, and it is superb. You look at your horizontal situation display, and in a second you know exactly where you are, which direction you're flying, and so on. So I'll talk you through setting up all those now. So if everyone zooms in to where all the green ones are, where it says FPA 1 and then Jeff 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now Gothic's he's smart ass. He's already done it. So on the top menu, you've got the fourth one in is mark label. It's just a circle. Click on that. Click somewhere in the vicinity of FPA 1. It really doesn't matter how close you are to it, as long as you're roughly in the area. Click on it again on the one you've just done, and a text box will come up. And type in there capital F, capital P, capital A, 1. And
no
then
space.
Yeah, no space. Capital A, capital P, capital F, capital P, capital A, 1. No space. And then you can click on the blue minimize icon. Don't click on the red cross or it'll delete it.
Oh, it's FP1.
FPA1. Yeah. Foxtrot, Papa, Alpha 1.
Alpha. Okay.
Yeah. Where I've put the blue FPA1, just put your mark next to it and write in there what's in the box.
Good.
And then if you zoom in again, on that area. Whatever tail number you were, find that one, zoom in very close to it, and put another mark in the middle of that group of vehicles. And again, in the text box, write in capital P1. So Papa 1, no spaces.
I did it right.
Okay, so the PP are the pre-planned for target, so it's
Yes.
pretty much it's the M1 points or the M points for the vegan.
Yes, that's exactly it. It is the target. So the PPs are the pre-planned for certain weapons, including the GB6s you're carrying, and the FPA 1 is waypoint 1.
So that's the B points for the vegan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the PP points can only be used for, well, they can be used for nav and target designation, but waypoints can't be used for target designation. Only PPs.
Yeah. So
Flight plan, and then it's pre-planned, right?
yes, so it's FPA is flight plan A point 1.
Yeah.
And PP is pre-planned 1. That's exactly it. Yeah. So cool.
And
All
as far
those are
as-
set up.
Yeah. As far as I know, there is no plan B, right? It's only A is.
I think Plan B is actually
There is.
working now.
There is.
They
Yeah.
have got it working, and from memory, I think that's waypoints 15 through 30. I'd have to check, but for now we'll just use Flight Plan A. So zoom out again. Yep, head up to.
It's entirely new sheet. So you go from FGPA to FGPB in your.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into that at this stage. It's I haven't properly delved into it myself, so I don't want to confuse people.
Fair.
So zoom out, head northwest, and we'll find the airfield where there's FPA 2, and again put a mark down there and call it FPA 2.
Okay. I think I have everything.
And the last one, go over back to our home airfield and put in FPA 3 on that one. So what we've done there is we've set 3 waypoints, 1 for target 1, 1 for target 2, and then 1 for coming back home.
YouTube chat says you carry a miniature Anton in your cockpit whenever you're flying something else, Judas.
I do. I have a little. You know they have like pin up pictures. I have a little pin up picture of an Anton.
No, you can fucking add those. You need to make a fucking custom cockpit for the Jeff and just have a pin up of a fucking Anton in there, dude.
I think I corrupted the Mosquito cockpit when I was learning the Mosquito. I corrupted the Mosquito cockpit, so I had a pin up of an Anton in there.
You need a bobblehead of an Anton.
Yes.
It's like VTOL VR, but it's just an Anton. You just bounce it around.
So if we've done FPA 1, 2, and 3, you've done your pre-plan one. Next, zoom out, and you'll see the red ones with JKYA and JKYB, and there are 8 in total. There's JKYA 1, 2, 3, 4, JKYB 1, 2, 3, 4. And I know there's a lot, but just do those, and then when we get to the right stage in the data cartridge, I'll explain what the hell we've just done. And make sure you get the letters in the right way, because I sometimes get them wrong and it doesn't work. Dyslexia kicking in.
I guess there's no shortcut for the mark point menu, right?
No, what they've had to do is oh no, I don't know.
This is purely DCS editor.
Ah, yeah.
This is nothing Jeff related.
Yeah, they've sort of had to bastardize what's available to make this work. So I'm grateful they've done it. It's not the most clear cut thing, but it's head and shoulders above other modules.
I didn't know about these corridors you can do. That's pretty cool, actually.
It's really neat, honestly. If it all works and it shows up on your map, it's absolutely fantastic.
So considering the placement of these, B is friendly, A is enemy.
Yes, that's right. Well, it's A is pink and B is cyan, and so it made sense in my mind to have the closest to red as hostile and closest to blue as friendly. But if you're on Redfall,
red one.
if you're it's pink and cyan. But if you're flying Redfall, then make the red one yours. It doesn't really matter. However you want to do it.
Probably because red is already for IFF in your.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, it's just to distinguish.
Yeah.
So hopefully everyone's got all those in now. I've just done mine.
Yep.
So right, we're going to go back to F1 view, get back in the cockpit, and we're going to go through the cold start. So my plan is I'm going to try and explain each stage as we go. So it will obviously take a lot longer than a normal cold start. You can do a proper cold start in a Jeff in about 3 minutes. And I've got I made a. I don't like the auto starts within the game, but I made my own auto start using voice attack, and I can get a Jeff start in about 2 minutes 15 seconds. And that's exactly how I want it set up. All the data points are put in, everything, and that's quite nice. So first thing, bring your kneeboard up with Shift K, and you'll start off on the nav and approach page. That's really important because you'll have a set of coordinates there with an altitude and a heading. We'll need that for the INS system. So you start off on that page and then scroll through using the right square brackets until you reach the first of my pages, which is pre-startup.
Do you never use the config menu where you can?
Oh, I have. Yeah, I'm going to do it manually this time to show people what to do.
Okay.
But absolutely, yeah. When we have the config menu, the config menu can do an awful lot of things automatically with that. I will do it manually this time, but I'll also explain that you can. Yeah. Right. First one then.
Even cheaped out on the fluffy chair in this plane.
Yes, but you can buy a bit of these for a Viper, so you're not going to get fluffy chairs.
Yeah.
Right, first one then, parking brake on. It should automatically be on, but it's well worth checking. So if you look on the left-hand side, in front of your throttle, you'll have two switches with red, look like L's on, and then in front of that again is brake. And the left hand of those two should be forward to park. It's probably best if, when you've done it, just give me a shout of yes or something, and then I know I can move on to the next stage. We'll see how annoying that gets. Cool. Next one, right, master arm. Forward again. You've got the big panic button, which I must admit I've never pressed, and I need to press that one day and find out exactly what it is. I think it jettisons everything. Just to the right of that, you've got your master arm. Just make sure that's central to off.
Yep.
Rearm and refuel. We have rearmed and refueled, but if, for example, you weren't doing a dynamic slot, you could at that point do the rearm and refuel. Next one is configuration panel. So bring up your comms menu, whatever you've got as your comms menu, and F8 ground crew, and then F5 configuration panel.
Does this also have this also has a hotkey, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It might do. I don't have a hotkey set for it, but it could well do.
Yeah.
Okay, it's at least not called configuration panel.
Yeah. So has everyone got that up now? The little config panel with a picture of the plane on. So in there, set your laser code that you've been given in all five of those boxes. It's not necessary to put it in all of them, but I tend to just put it in all of them, and then you're absolutely sure. When you've done that, go to DMAP type, and it should be on raster charts, whatever you set in the special menu. So raster charts is fine. Under airspace, drop that down and put F10 label. And what you're telling that is to look at the F10 map for any markings you may have put, just like the ones you've done, and it should add those in. Next one down is update INS align data. We're not going to do that this time because we're going to do it manually just to show you the process. But in future, you can tick that, and your ground crew will put all of the all of the INS data in for you, which is really helpful. Then you've got air-to-air refueling probe. We're going to leave that off. Refill utilities, which we're not going to tick because we don't need that at this stage. And then make sure you untick inlet cover and ladder. And that's a really important one because the aircraft will quite happily let you start the engine up with the intake covers on and then complain about it when you get a flame out.
Yep, took me half an hour to figure that one out.
And it's a really nice quality of life thing. So once we've done all that, click apply, and if you want,
the worst
you can...
thing was, do you remember when they added that, Judas?
Yes, I do, and the number of forum complaints was hilarious.
No, I was sitting there for half an hour going, why is my engine not starting?
Yeah. I was one of the smug few who had actually read the patch notes, so I was aware of what was going on.
Back before I read patch notes.
So your ground crew, you should have heard them say they've removed the inlet covers and they've updated the laser codes. Next thing, right-hand side. In the middle of the right-hand side flat panel, you've got the emergency landing gear yellow thing. I'm going to use that as a sort of datum. So in front of that, in fact at the very front, you've got the elec, which has got battery, AC gen and DC gen. We're going to click all those once to turn all three on. Battery, AC gen and DC gen. Internal lights we don't need at this stage, but if you go back one section behind the emergency landing gear thing, you can see those there. And those are your internal instrument lights, console lights and floodlights. Go back to the front, you've got what looks like a calculator input with AAP. Find COM1, which is on the fourth row down far left, click that. COM2, which is next to it. WMMC will have automatically turned on, and then next to that one is WMMC2. Turn that on, so you should have 4 lights on there now. Is everyone with me so far?
Yep.
Does it hurt to just press combat to turn on everything?
Not at all. But as I'm just going through it.
Okay. Yep.
Properly now. Is that you starting the engine, Army?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cheeky bugger.
This is when he takes off and tries to do a low flyby and ends up taking us all out. Right. Next one is immediately behind that is intcom. Turn that up so that's on. And then the 4 knobs there, COM1, COM2, TACAN, ILS, and missile. Turn all those up to max.
Warning.
Done.
And you should get a
Warning.
warning. Now you can either press. Yeah. Now you can. Now you find out how useful your master warning cancel button is, or you can look up to the left. I think they call eyebrow panels, and press the master warning button, and that will mute it for now. But she will be back. Next is the warning panel. So immediately in front, there she is again. She won't shut up. Immediately in front of where you turn the electrical power on, there is a warning panel. There's a little dial on there which allows you to adjust the brightness. It's fine now, but at night time it's absolutely blinding. So you can adjust that, and you can also press the test button to test the oxygen blink, which is next to it. Keep coming up slightly.
You're actually talking to me. Probably because my fucking headset settings aren't right or something.
Warning.
Come up again. So above the oxygen dial is a little switch that says digital clock switch. Turn that up, and your little clock will come on. And that is local time and then universal time.
Warning. Warning.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Warning.
Everyone with me?
Yep.
Yep.
Next one is come back down, and you'll see just behind the electrical 3 switches
Warning.
on the left-hand side, you've got HUD day-night mode. Leave it in day now, but again, that's really useful when you're flying at night to turn the brightness of
Warning.
everything down. Now we're going to go back up to the all 4 MFCDs should be on now, and they should all have menu on. If they're not, the little dial in the top
Warning.
left and top right can be adjusted to either turn them on or off, or adjust the brightness. On the up front panel, you've got 4 knobs: HUD contrast, HUD brightness, standby reticle, and up front control panel brightness. HUD contrast should be
Warning.
fine at 12 o'clock. Turn HUD brightness, which is the second one in, all the way up. And turn
Warning.
UFCP brightness all the way up. And that's
Warning.
that's the 4th one along. Don't touch standby reticle, because that is, as it suggests, your standby reticle to use if the HUD has failed. We don't need that at the moment.
Warning.
Yep.
Right. If you look down on your left-hand side, immediately to the left of the big red undercarriage lever are the 3 lights telling you where your gear is, what state your gear is. Again, fine for now, but at night that is blinding. So there's a little
Warning.
brightness dial that you can turn that down. Next, we want to go into
Altitude.
nav mode. So
Altitude.
whatever we used for whatever you set
Fuel.
for your
Fuel.
master modes, select nav.
Bingo.
And all
Bingo.
3 MFDs
Bingo.
should change.
Block.
So you will
Block.
have
Block.
your EFIS, which is your flight indication system on the left. So that's effectively artificial horizon. You'll have radar off in the middle, and you'll have your horizontal situation display on the right.
Warning.
So those are the 3 defaults for nav mode. External lights. If you look back on the right hand side behind the emergency gear, the landing gear, at the back you've got all your controls there. I'm not going to mess about with those at the moment, but if you wanted to be realistic, you can put on strobes or whatever, or for
Warning.
night flying, nav lights there.
Warning.
So we're going to ignore the next few steps because they're all to do with the lights.
Warning.
We're going to go to the radio mode, which is
Warning.
flip over to the left hand side behind the
Warning.
throttle. You've got a panel with rec, auto, org, direct link and all that. Ignore that one. Go one behind that and you've got your radio controls. And the bottom left hand corner of those is a dial, which if reading
Warning.
clockwise it goes 0 off, TR, TR plus G, ADF, ground. Right click on that once to get TR. And that's transmit receive on the radio. Has everyone found that?
Yep.
Set volume.
Warning.
Volume should be fine on there. We don't need to worry about that. And then radios checked and set. Again, I'm not going to mess about with that too much. The radios are a bit of a funny one in the JEF. They're
Warning.
all assigned to a code, and you actually have a sheet on your kneeboard telling you what all the codes do. So I'll let you discover the joys of the JEF radio on your own there. That is one of the minor annoyances of the JEF.
I mean, you can
So-
just go into manual mode.
Yeah, you can absolutely go into manual mode, but you've
Warning.
got a bounce back control, and that's a bit of a pain in the
Warning.
arse. So we're going to leave that for now.
Warning.
Next page of the kneeboard. We would normally contact ATC and request startup. We are not doing that. So next page with startup. So we're going to be looking at controls around the
Warning.
throttle here. So make sure anti-surge is on, A/surge on, and it's a bit. The text is a bit obscured, but if you hold
Warning.
the mouse over it, it's immediately to the left of the throttle. Anti-surge, just make sure that's forward.
To the right of the throttle.
Sorry, right even. Yeah, I will be awake, honest. Fuel start pump is keep going forwards until you get to alongside the 2 red L's. Start
Warning.
pump, push that forwards. One left click.
Mm-hmm.
Engine control, one behind that. Click that, and that should go forwards.
Yep.
uncage your throttle. You can either use your fancy
Warning.
detent method, or you can click on the there's a physical button behind the throttle, and if you move your mouse over it, it goes
Warning.
green, and it comes up with throttle uncage, stop to idle. Click that once. Make sure if you move the throttle forward, it moves all the way forward, and then move it all the way back, and make sure it's as far back as it will go. Because if you have any forward movement on the throttle when you start up, the engine start won't work.
Warning.
Everyone good on that?
Warning.
The little black button that says GND, press and hold that for 4 seconds. Click and hold that for 4 seconds. And you should start to hear what sounds like a little clicking, and then
Warning.
the noises will start to happen. And when that happens, you can release it.
Yep.
And that's your APU starting,
Warning.
and actually no, I forget if it's got an APU. That's right, that's your jet fuel starter starting. You don't have an APU.
Yep.
And you'll see on the left-hand MFCD your engines start to spool up.
Warning.
Now, while I think about it, just move. If you have wheel pedals, brake pedals, just make sure pressing them goes in the correct direction, because it's a joy when it completely is inverted.
I also might have had that.
Excellent.
Warning. Warning.
Okay, at the ground.
So your engine should be spooled up now. You'll be at something like 70.5% N2.
Warning.
Yep.
Go down to the right-hand side, immediately in front of the emergency landing gear thing, and the switch on the right there, it'll be at off. Click that once and it'll go to norm, and that will turn on your electronics cooling.
Warning.
Where?
So,
Where again?
So-
funny little rotary
Oh,
dial.
Yeah,
Defog
find the
button.
yellow emergency
Warning.
landing gear handle on the right-hand side, and then in
Okay.
front of that there's a defog button, and then immediately above that is desmoke norm off RAM. Switch that to norm.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
I had,
Warning.
on my warning panel, I had electronics hot. Because what had happened was, I was taking such a long time over the startup, some of the electronics were heating up. I've turned that on now, and that warning's gone away. So again, that's just a demonstration that it's a detailed simulation that your electronics can get hot. Right, so we're now onto the after start phase. So look over immediately on the left-hand side of the seat. You will see what looks like an open tube. If you hold the mouse over it, it says oxygen tube connector. Click on that once, and the stump of a tube will go into that, and that simulates you plugging in your oxygen tube.
Yep.
Go up to what looks like the valve with open O2 and turn that anti-clockwise as far as it'll go, and it should be a single rotation, and you'll get open at the top again.
I still love this damn bell.
It's good, isn't it? You've got the most advanced, one of the most advanced aircraft in the world, and you have a gas valve.
Yes.
And if you look at the front, right, where you've got your warnings, to the right of that, you should now start to see oxy blink, and that's telling you your pilot is getting oxygen.
Yep.
Go back to where your oxygen tube was put in, and behind that is a white and red disc thing. Click on that, and that is your G-suit connection.
White and blue.
Yeah, white and blue. If you don't have that connected, I learned this actually in the MAD campaign. It's really good simulation of greying out. Because there's a mission where I won't spoil it too much. He deliberately disconnects that, and just to show you what happens, and it's fascinating. So again, really well modeled systems. Right, still on the left hand side, next to the flare jettison button, there's a big red button. coming back to the right, you want emergency hydraulics on, SHARS on, which is the, if I remember correctly, it's something like the strap-down heading system. It's the weirdest name, and I've never really understood why it's called that. But it's part of the navigation system. So make sure emergency hydraulics is on and SHARS is on. Coming forward on the left-hand side, to the right of the landing gear red lever, there is a little white thing that says safe. Click on that, and it will go down to armed. That is your ejection seat. And then if you look down in between where your pilot's virtual legs are, there is a remove before flight red tag. Click on that and that will remove the ejection seat pin.
Yep.
On the right hand side where you've got the, I'm going to start calling them calculator keys, the AAP area, you've got all those flat keys. In the bottom left, click INS, and a green light should come on there.
Yep.
And we're now, in a minute, we should start to get the... no, that seems to have already aligned. Right, there we go. That will have aligned, and things will have changed now, so you'll get in the left-hand window your latitude and longitude, although that will be incorrect. And then your up-front display will also display an incorrect latitude and longitude. What we're going to do now is tell the aircraft where we are for INS purposes. So scroll backwards through the... how am I going to do this?
You can also click the pink tab to the left of the kneeboard to scroll
yes,
straight to
that does it. So what we're going to do now, the next few steps are talking you through the inputting the coordinates. So I'm going to talk you through it now without you having to refer to the kneeboard, but you've got that if you need it. So yeah, either click on the pink one or use the left square bracket to keep going backwards. And you'll see nav and approach and then a set of coordinates. On the second row down, click on the left-hand arrow. So it's the left-hand arrow which is pointing to the right. That makes sense.
Yep.
And that, I've got a 450 number. That will vanish and it will come up with a cursor.
Oh, that thing that's to the left of the N of the north.
Yes. Yeah. So second one down, the left on the left-hand side, left and right, either side of the numbers, you've got a row of arrows. You want the second one down on the left-hand side, and that will change the second row of text to a flashing cursor. Has everyone got that?
Yep.
Yep.
And then you want to enter the latitude numbers there. So I've got 45 degrees, 5 minutes, 0 seconds, and then 0 north. So I would put in 45050000. So you put in whatever numbers you've got under that latitude, using the numbers on the right and on the left hand side.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when it gets to the end, it doesn't enter it. It will just have the cursor flashing on the last number you put in, and then click that arrow, the second arrow down on the left hand side again.
So the left arrow and the right
so
arrow actually have different functions.
Yes.
Okay.
For example, if you were now, has everyone entered that? Has everyone entered that number? If you were to press the right-hand button, that would switch between north and south.
Ah, okay.
So it's sort of a dual function thing. It can do. You've just got to make sure you click on it right. It's fine once you've learnt it, but when you're learning it, it can be a bit faffy.
I managed to get my controls screwed up, and now I'm on FPA on that upfront controller. How do I get properly back?
So return the RTN button. Press that a couple of times.
Just press DST. Then you're back to the...
Yeah, DST will get you there as well.
Yeah, okay, there we go. DST. Got it.
And it's always the waypoint 0, which is your initial point.
That's exactly right, yeah. And because we haven't updated the data cartridge, we only have point 0. So what we're effectively doing is we are setting waypoint 0, and that is our physical aircraft start location that all the INS is based off. So has everyone got that second row one in done? That the latitude in first?
Should that say what we type in?
Roughly.
Mine
I-
doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
it-
Mine
It,
also
it should,
says
there
something
will be a slight difference, and I think it's I don't really understand why, but it should be what if you put in what's there, it'll work. So once you've done that second row, press the third arrow down on the left hand side, and this time make sure you enter the 0 first. So I've got 038, 55, 45, 7, and there are more numbers in this one. So put that in. Make sure you remember the 0 to begin with.
Yep.
And then when you've done, again, press the third one down on the left-hand side arrow.
Yep.
And the last one, is everyone done that? The last one is the bottom row, but this time, confusingly, we're going to press the right-hand arrow, and that will allow us to input our altitude, which in my case, and should be the same as you, is 00104. But it will be...
I think I understood it now. The right arrow changes the right part of the display, and the
Yes.
left arrow the left part.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Now, if you want, just make a mental note of what that heading is on the last one, because we'll need that in a minute. So mine's saying 357, so I think everyone should be the same.
Yep.
Yep. So we're going to go back to the kneeboard page we were at. So just scroll through until you hit startup and after start.
Yep.
So we have entered latitude, longitude and altitude. So we're on point 13 now, which is AAP INS dial. Immediately in front of those calculator keys is a dial. Now, you can set that to fast, which does the INS in about 30 seconds, but you have to manually enter the heading we just made a mental note of, or you can set it to GC, which is a more accurate alignment but takes longer, I think about 3 minutes. And if you do that, you don't need to bother with that. We're going to do fast this time, just because we're not too worried. We're using cluster weapons, so they don't have to be pinpoint accurate. If you're using pinpoint weapons, pinpoint pinpoint GPS weapons, make sure you use GC, because if you don't, there'll be some drift and your weapons will be inaccurate. So right-click once on that little dial, so it says fast.
So with pinpoint weapons, you mean like the glider bombs?
Yes, exactly, the
thing
glider
that- okay.
bombs. We're using glider bombs, but they're cluster, so it doesn't really matter. And then on the center MFD, you'll see remain time counting down, and that is the remain time for your INS. Now, there should be a little arrow on the right-hand side. Press the square button next to that arrow, and a load of numbers will come up.
Yep.
Everyone got that?
Yep.
And we're going to enter the heading that we were on. So we're going to put in 3, 5, 7.
Yep.
And then the counter will start again.
Yay.
No.
What's yours doing?
My arrow is gone, and it's still on 017. And I also can no longer click on the thing.
You could try turning the dial back to standby and then back to fast. See if that does it.
Yeah, usually it does. If you go back to standby, wait a couple of seconds, go
Yeah,
to fast.
I will.
And-
Okay, now it's a standby again. Now I go to fast, but now I have the arrow.
Yeah, cool. And put in 3, 5, 7.
5, 7.
Yeah.
Now it wasn't there a thing that you need to do it within a certain time?
Possibly, yeah.
I
It could have been
probably
that
went
it
over
could
the
have been
time.
that the timer ran out. Yeah.
By the way, you can also go from standby directly to ins nav, which
Yes.
triggers the fast.
Yes. Yeah, I tend to do it this way just because that's what Chuck's guide said. But you're absolutely right. If you want, yeah, you can go to the central position and it'll do fast. Yeah, good call. So once your timer's 0 and it's flashing fast, right click on the dial again, so it's at 12 o'clock, to INS nav.
Okay.
And on your AAP calculator keys, 4th row down, far right. No, not that one, sorry. Where is it? Nah, there should be a nav one. I am being blind. No, sorry. Fourth row down, 3rd column, nav. Click that, and your little green light will come on.
Yep.
And then on the up front panel, on the right-hand side, 2nd one down, click HNS, and a second menu will come up.
Yep.
And then click the little arrow next to INS, the left-hand one, and that will go to INS and GPS, and the little green light will come on HNS.
Yep.
Yep.
And then return, which is bottom left. Cool. So we should all have now our INS system set up. It sounds convoluted, and it is in a way, but once you get used to it, you'll breeze through it, or you can tell your ground crew to do it. Right, next page of the knee pad. So rearm and refuel, we don't need to do. We've all done that. So we're now going to tell the ground crew to update the DTC. So that is going to do. That is first of all going to tell the aircraft what weapons we've got. It's going to load up those mark points we put on the map, and it's going to make sure all of the INS, if we've added waypoints, they will all go in as well. So get your comms menu up, F8 ground crew, and then F6 update DTC data, and then finally F1 update data.
Copy.
And your ground crew should talk to you and tell you they're updating the cartridge.
DTC update complete.
Yep. DTC update complete.
Yep. Right hand side, almost the aftmost thing, just in front of the flashlight, there is what looks like a VHS slot. If you click on that once, your data cartridge will appear there. Click on it again, and it will slowly descend in.
Yep.
Everyone got that? And then if you go up front to the left-hand MFCD, it'll say DTC locked.
Yep.
Top right, click on the button next to all, and then the MFCDs are sort of split into two. So on the top MFCD, the bottom right button where it says ENT, press that, and that will start to put in all your data.
Yep.
I really like that it also enters the name you have.
Yes,
Warning.
and inevitably
Warning.
your master warning will go off because it hasn't gone off for 5 minutes.
Yep.
That's the attack mode thing we have to change now.
Yes, that is. So I'm gonna mute that master warning now. Now I've just noticed on my warning panel, I've got FCS1 and FCS2 warning lights. Has anyone else got that?
Yep.
Yep.
Right. So if you go behind your throttle, there should be a green. There's a reset button that's now lit green.
Yep.
Press that, and they should go away.
Yay.
And I think that's because I've been taking so long over the startup, something didn't quite work.
Right.
Should we have the oil illuminated?
No.
My oil is illuminated.
I'm not sure why. We'll do a startup, and if it causes a problem, you just jump into one of the hot starts. Right. We're going to go back to that, the AAP calculator buttons, and we're going to press CMBT, which is combat. all those come on. If you want, when you first start the plane, you can just hit combat and turn it on straight away. I did it piecemeal so you could see what we were doing. Now combat doesn't turn on everything. Make sure if you're carrying the ECM pod, you've turned on SPJ. We haven't got it this time, so don't worry about that. But make sure you've got CLDP on, which is the laser designator pod. That's critical, because if we don't have that turned on, you can't laser anything or target anything. The other one, you've got ACMI, which is your effectively the flight recorder for dogfighting. HMD, which is helmet mounted display. It's programmed into the aircraft, but they won't turn it on until the real live aircraft has it, which I don't know whether it ever will, to be honest. SPJ is jammer, CLDP is laser pod, and IRST is the infrared search and track, similar to what the Fulcrum and the Flanker have. Again, it's planned for the JF, but it doesn't have it yet, so they've not enabled it. We're going to go down to around the throttle, and you've got a little switch just behind the one with the red cover on, which says CMBT, C&T, or TRG. That is either combat mode, combat and training, or training mode. Always make sure that's forward into combat mode. That'll give you unrestricted engine power. The other ones restrict the engine power to try and extend the life of the engine. But there's no need for that in a sim. Going back further, you'll see behind the red DIR LNK, the direct link, you've got two switches. That one of them is A/G1, A/G2, and AA/AG. What they are, they tell your aircraft what G limits to put on. If you have it in air-to-air mode, it's the most relaxed limit, so it'll let you go up to about 8G for air combat manoeuvres. But the JF has all of the stores modelled with damage taken by over G. So if you over G and you're carrying certain weapons, they will malfunction. They may not fire, you may not be able to jettison them. So always make sure you're flying within your limits. So in this case, we're going to switch AA/AG to AG, because we've got air-to-ground weapons. Now, I'm going to go off script here, and I'm going to turn AG1, AG2 to AG2.
Warning.
And you'll probably get a warning, which you can mute. The reason for that is, when you're in air-to-ground mode, you can tell it to go into either air-to-ground 1 mode, which is the more relaxed one, or air-to-ground 2, which is the more restrictive one. And you're only supposed to use air-to-ground 2 when you're carrying fuel pods. The GB6s we're carrying have really low limits. So I put it to the maximum possible protection, because I don't want to over G and knock those out. So if you look at your warning panel, you'll see the config light activated. And that's the aircraft telling you, hang on, you haven't got it set up properly. We're deliberately doing that because we're giving us the max G protection. Does that all make sense?
Yep.
Right. I'm going to go back into the 3 modes. So just press your navigation master mode now, and nothing should change. You should already be in nav mode, and we're going to quickly set up all the MFCDs as we want. So the left-hand one, we don't need to see that the DTC is locked. So the bottom center button, press that, and that bottom center button functions as the main menu.
Yep.
And that will now have menu. Press EFIS, which is on the left-hand side, and that is your little artificial horizon.
Yep.
Central is your INS. I don't really change that much on there. If you want, you can either press the central button and go into a mode, or on the second one in on the bottom row, you've got RDR, which is a shortcut. You can press that and your air-to-air radar will come up. You can. It doesn't really matter for nav mode. And then the right-hand one, you've got your horizontal situation display. Where you've got the 2 arrows next to 30, if you press the up arrow a couple of times, you'll zoom out, and you should see your 2 little airspace areas. There should be a cyan square and a pink square. Is that showing for everyone?
Yep.
Now that is, I think that's, as I say, I think that's dead useful. You've also got a green triangle and that shows our waypoint 1, which is the 90-degree bit, and then you've got the waypoint 2 and then back to us. So that is showing everything on, for me, everything has been correctly loaded from the data card. So I've got 2 airspace areas and the waypoints. Next thing we're going to go and do is go into air-to-air mode.
Where should I see the triangle for the waypoints?
There should be a green triangle emanating
okay.
from your aircraft.
Got it.
Yeah, that's our waypoints shown as on a sort of diagram format.
It's a route.
Yeah, that's exactly it, it's a route. So if you then go into air-to-air mode, all the left-hand MFD will change, and that will be your stores. We don't really need to do anything with air-to-air mode. I'm not going to engage. I'm not going to arm the missiles or anything. So that's how you get into air-to-air mode. We're then going to go to air-to-ground mode. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to turn on my master arm because I want everything to be on. You can, if you do master arm now, you should have your BRMs will flash and then they will go arm.
Yep.
When they're armed, on the box underneath, it will have different options in, and where it says fuse safe, we're going to press that once, and that will change the fuse from safe to they will now actually explode.
Yay.
Make sure everyone's got on where it's on the top left. It's AS1. Press. Make sure you've got BRMs as fuse, E-fuse. We're going to now press the next weapon button, and I'm just going to double check which one that is. That is the one that is S8, change weapons. Press that once, and it will go, the top left will change to A/S2, and your GB6s will come online. Has that worked for everyone?
It's the nose wheel steering button.
Right, okay, there's a separate... There were 2 change weapons buttons. There was one that was nose wheel steering, and there was one that was change weapon type. See if you can find your change weapon type one. And give us a shout when you find it.
Change weapons.
I think it should be S8 on the controls menu.
Yeah, S8
Sierra 8.
change weapons.
Yep.
As opposed to S5.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll find this. Oh, this is... guess I will have to remove the autopilot for now.
Yeah, we will need that one.
Yep, got it.
So you're on AS2, so your GB6s are now armed.
Yep.
Where it says mode, TOO, which is target of opportunity, click that and it will go mode PP. And that's telling it's got a pre-planned point.
Yep.
If you click the CNTL, which is the control button on the left-hand side, that goes into a detailed menu, and there you can select things like impact azimuth, so where the weapon's coming in, open altitude, and so on. The important thing here is just make sure it says channel 36. And channel 36 equates to pre-planned 1, which is what we set on the map. You've got 4 pre-planned, which are 36, 37, 38, and 39. And in a minute I'll show you what they all mean on the waypoints thing. For now, just make sure that's saying channel 36. Then press CNTL again. Then we're going to press our next weapon button again, and it will go AS3. And the reason for that is the JF has 6 hard-coded weapon modes, and if you've only got 2, it will flip-flop back and forth between them. So what I like to do is on the ground make sure they're all set up how I like it. It can be really useful. Say you've got mode 1 as rockets, mode 2 as GB6s, mode 3 might be rockets but fire both rockets, for example. But I tend to make it the same. So on mode 3, click fuse safe to fuse E-fuse. Press it again, get AS4, mode PP. Press it again, AS5, fuse E-fuse. And then AS6 mode PP. And now if you press your next button frequently, it'll go 1 through 6, but every time you press it, it'll switch between rockets or GB6s, and they're all set up exactly how we want, so you don't have to worry about which mode you're in.
Nice.
That all makes sense. Cool. Right. I think that's all the setting. Now you'll notice there your laser code is set. You'll see your 168 whatever to the right hand side. Now you can't set it on the ground. It's one annoyance. You can't set your laser designator pod code on the ground. You have to be in the air, so make sure you remember to do that, and I'll talk you through it when we get airborne. Right, next one. Up front, control waypoint manual auto. We're going to leave it in manual mode, and the reason for that is we're going to be overflying some of these points several times. Auto automatically changes to the next waypoint when you get there, and you don't really want that. So we're going to go back to nav mode. On your master mode, press whatever you've got for nav, and you'll get your horizontal, artificial horizon back. The top right arrow on the upfront display next to the 00, click that and type in 01, and then click the arrow again, and that selects waypoint 1.
Yeah, the thing that says FPA.
Yeah, it's a
Right
FPA and then 00. Click the one next to the 00 and set that to 01.
Yep.
Where it says COM1 and COM2, press the button next to COM2. Sorry, the arrow next to COM2 even, the right hand one, and then press it again, and it will come up with a cursor, so you can change the channel on COM2. Set that to 199, and that is our data link frequency. Press the arrow again, and then where it says Slav, press the arrow next to that, and that will become mast, which is slave mode to master mode. And then when it's got the NE negative, press the arrow next to that, and that will become NES. And that should now show everyone, us all talking to each other on the data link. You should see a load of contacts appear next to you, which is us lot.
Isn't it that only one can be master?
I'm not entirely sure. I think if we all have it as master, it does work. If you want, someone can be the master and everyone else can be slave. I don't think it makes too much difference, if I'm honest.
I think I heard in videos that it isn't even modeled.
It could well be that, yeah.
You definitely need to turn it on though, otherwise
Yes,
you won't see anything.
Yeah, you definitely need it in one mode or the other, and then all your data links will appear. And then when you've done all that, press the RTN button to return, and you'll get back to FPA 01 and so on.
Cool.
Seat height, don't worry about. Canopy. Now, this is a really, really important one. Close and lock your canopy. The number of times I've forgotten to lock it and I've turned it into a cabriolet. So on the right-hand side, there's a handle on the wall of the cockpit with an arrow next to it. And you can see little letters saying lock, close, hold, open. Click it once and it'll start to close. And then when it's all the way closed, click it again and it'll lock. And your canopy warning will disappear off the warning display.
Yep.
I can also highly recommend to go through the checklist which is in the JF and just see if everything is green, or at least the lights are only red and the rest is green.
Yes. See, I've never played around with that. I think that's a relatively new feature, and that sounds brilliant. And I need to do some research into that.
If you can tell us where it is, maybe this will fix my oil pressure issue.
Well,
Potentially,
you
yeah.
go into one of your MFDs, press the middle button there in the down row, and then go to checklist. It's CHKLS. It's the right MFD button, the third, and then you have a list where you can go up and down.
Mine is completely empty.
Then click the first down button. It's the second button on the left side of the MFD.
And where it
there's
says
sys.
Yeah, sys, and get it to sys 1.
I have AAP SPJ is yellow, but I think that's okay because we do not have the jammer.
Yes, that's right.
Can I somehow find why my oil pressure is low?
I mean, we'll find out when, on takeoff, I suppose.
Yep.
And as I say, I've got a standby aircraft, a standby slot airborne, so you can jump in if it all goes pear-shaped. You're not going to be left behind.
There's also a thing where I have the oil pressure and I have another one that's just dashes illuminated.
I don't know what that is, to be honest.
I have the guide or Chuck's guide. Well, it's just that. Even there, it just does dash.
Oh, okay. Joy. I don't know what that one's about. I'm sorry. So everyone's got their canopy. We'll take off, as I say, and if it all goes wrong, jump into one of the other slots, and you can just go from in the air. So everyone's got their canopy closed and sealed. Double check that. Taxi light, we're not going to worry about. Press your first weapon select button, which also doubles as the nose wheel steering, and make sure on the top right eyebrow panel you've got NWS selected.
Yep.
Now, there is a recurring bug. They fixed it before and it seems to have come back. You should have three steady green lights showing that your trim is neutral. For some reason, the initialization of that is wrong. So you may not have those. If it's not, don't worry. Your aircraft starts trim neutral. So if you don't need to trim it, don't worry about it.
3 green lights where?
On the right eyebrow panel, you've got the top 3. If you zoom in really high, you can just see the text on them, which says pitch trim, roll trim, and yaw trim.
The top row, okay.
Yeah, the top row, yeah. But if they're not illuminated, as I say, there's a recurring bug. They keep fixing it and it keeps coming back, so I think they're working on that. Right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the parking brake. So go down to in front of the throttle, and you'll see brake, park. Press that back to norm, and we are good to taxi to the runway.
Finally.
Finally, yes, after about an hour.
2 hours.
2 hours.
Well, no, it was an hour of this. It was another hour of something else. I'm not having you completely take the mick. I told you I was thorough.
So the first step was turn on the battery, right?
I'm not falling for that one. I'm not falling for that one.
Who's 3?
Me.
Me?
But 1 is still there. Why is 3 going?
Yeah. Why isn't 1?
I'm not letting my OCD dictate this. You go out in whichever order you want, and you break your plane, you pay for it. So.
I assume this is the runway.
Yep. And we're at one end of it. So get there and get to the runway and turn right. And there are a couple more things you need to do. So don't roll just yet. You can line up and wait.
I'm waiting for you two guys.
Oh, cool.
I let my lead.
Copy. Okay.
Okay.
2's going. I'm in
No,
1.
1
No,
go.
you go for it. You go for it.
Oh, you go.
All right. Everyone's too polite.
Flaps down or not?
Yep. If I'd say so with this loadout. Oh my god! I can't believe we're doing a formation takeoff. This is going to go so
So
badly
it should
wrong.
say TEF then.
Yes. Yeah, it should say TEF, which is trailing edge flaps. So just to go through the pre-takeoff checklist, trailing edge flaps as required. I would say yes, turn them on because we are all quite heavy. Pitch roll, your trim neutral, it should be automatic. Internal lights, don't worry about. Zeroizer, don't worry about. What that does is, if you eject with the zeroizer on, it fries the computer, so it stops anything being captured. Warning panel, make sure that's clear. Now you should have the config one active. As I say, we've deliberately got that one wrong, but normally make sure that's clear, and certainly make sure it doesn't say canopy. Because the number of times I've got that wrong. Master arm, you can have that as required. I've got it on because I cheat and have it on before takeoff. Gun feed, don't worry about for now. We'll talk about that in the air. And turn your nose wheel steering off before you roll when you're lined up and go for it. So whoever is 03 go and 04 go. Just go full power and about 120 knots, a bit of back pressure, and then about 140 knots you should rotate.
120 back pressure, 140 rotate.
5 rolling.
Altitude. Altitude.
Chemist gears up.
Altitude.
And bring your flaps and gear up pretty quickly because you don't want to overspeed and get your gear stuck down.
Nice life gears up.
Now bear in mind, you are a light aircraft with a heavy load, so you're going to feel a bit of a pig at the moment. So, as I say, we've got unlimited fuel, so just go full reheat and we'll start a slow climb round to where waypoint 1 is, and we probably want to get up to something like 20,000 feet. It doesn't really matter because we're going to be dropping the cluster bombs first, and they've got quite a generous launch envelope.
Canisters, left hand turn, sorry, right hand turn, climbing.
Yep, I'm third in the row following you. How's your oil situation?
It's still blinking.
Excellent.
On not blinking, it's on.
So you should see a mark on the hood, a square, which shows where waypoint 1 is, and there's also a line, a sort of tadpole type thing, and that's showing the direction of the waypoint. Now I'm hoping we'll get some of the fun canopy effects like the fogging if we fly up high altitude, but we may not be up for that long.
Hey Flame, are you in full burner?
Yeah,
Why am I faster than you?
I don't know.
Just double check you got your flaps and gear up.
Yep, both are up.
The engine seems to be
460.
working fine.
And bear in mind that the Jeff has the MiG-29 engine, which is notoriously sooty. So whenever you're not in burner, you are kicking out so much black smoke, you could give a Phantom a run for its money.
Yeah, it's always a nice identifying game. Phantom or Jeff?
Yes.
What altitude did you say?
It doesn't really matter. We can go to about 20,000, but
We're levelling off at 20,000.
yeah.
You want me to leave it in burner or not leave it in burner?
No, bring it out of burner, and we'll all get roughly together. What we're going to do is we're going to do a there's only 5 of us, so we'll all fire together. It may crash the server, it may not. I don't know, but we are effectively going to unleash Armageddon on that on those targets.
Could be.
Okay, out of burner.
So once you've leveled off, it doesn't really matter if we're in formation or not, but we can put altitude hold mode on. So on the front panel, on the right hand side, there's A/P, A/P. Press that once, and it'll say at, and then press it again, and it'll go to alt with a number. Mine says alt 1987, and that is the altitude, and then the actual altitude hold mode, and then the actual altitude. And if you want, you can click the arrow next to the number and you can enter the numbers in. So I'm going to be OCD and enter in 2000, and it will slowly bring me up to 2000 feet and then level off.
It's so nice that you have the same problem I have.
Yeah, I hate flying at strange altitudes. And then we are now happily flying towards target. We all may be on slightly different courses, it doesn't really matter as long as we're not going to hit each other. Should be fine. So, next thing we're going to do is going to go to air to ground mode. We're going to press the weapons change until we have a GB6 armed. So those should be the even numbers. And you'll see on your horizontal situation display a circle, and that circle is the minimum range, and then an extending dotted line with a horizontal slash across it that we're getting towards. That horizontal line is the maximum range. So once we cross that line, it will change to a solid line and we are ready to fire. And if you need to, zoom in or out of the horizontal situation display. Has everyone got that?
Yep.
Whoa, one thing I've forgotten actually. I knew I'd forget something. Where it says PP, next to it is quantity. Click that, and we're going to do quantity 2. So we're going to fire both simultaneously, or with an interval of 0.3 seconds. It says below it. And the reason for that is if you don't do that, you get quite unbalanced. So now for me, the line has just gone solid. So has everyone else got a solid straight line out leading out to the circle?
Ethan.
If everyone's done that, we can all press and hold weapon pickle, and we'll drop these things.
2 away.
Go away.
And if you use F6 view, you can view them. And we're just gonna fly straight and level now on autopilot mode.
Oh, these
And,
are definitely the player's missiles or bombs now, not someone else's.
Say again?
So the thing F6 shows my bombs, not someone else's.
I think if you press it
it'll
enough
be
times.
the last one launched. If you want to make sure it's your one, if you go to F10 and zoom in on us, you can pick out which ones you launched.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I didn't know that.
Only on servers with it enabled. Most
Oh, right,
servers
okay.
have,
Oh, I haven't
weapons
done
in
that
it.
then. But anyway, we can just watch whatever it is.
It's on
Now
this one.
Cool. So this will be a minute or two as they go into the target, and then it's going to be a flip of a coin if the server dies, because we are about to unleash Armageddon.
These are the ones with auto seeker,
Yes.
so they look
So-
for targets.
Yes. So they're effectively, it's almost like it's like a multiple Durandal. So it'll drop these things. They'll come down with parachutes, and then when they reach a certain altitude, they will seek out everything.
That's
I
the CBU 87, I think, in the A10.
I think so, yeah. But this is that in a glide bomb.
Yeah.
It's like a J South plus that.
105, I think.
Oh
is
yeah, the
smart one.
105er. Yeah.
So the one I'm seeing's almost feet wet, and the target is that airfield over there. I put a load of vehicles on the runway in tight formation, so these things will absolutely chew them up.
Those sailors down there will have quite the show.
Yes.
By the way, if you do left control and F11, it will pause the camera in its current position if you want to stop it just before it gets to target. To look at it a bit better.
I'm glad we got all these experts doing things I don't know.
Yeah, I think the one I'm
I
looking
know
at
how
is
to
not mine.
make the things pretty.
Oh,
Yeah, yes.
something is happening.
Oh, mine's deploying.
Yep, boom.
Nice.
I just hear this roar as the missile's coming in. Jesus.
I love these
They are
bloody things.
absolutely vicious.
Yay, mine finally hit. Woohoo!
Yeah, it's the same as with the CBU 105, they take so long you think you've done something wrong.
Yeah, and they're just...
And they just fire a few anti-tank rounds into engine ducts. I think that was a pretty successful
On your
strike.
right, Flame.
Those are
There we
great
go.
fire plumes.
There we
So
go.
yeah,
There.
for me that's one of the headline weapons of the Jeff. You obviously won't get it on 80 servers, but they're just too much fun to pass up.
Yeah.
Right, next thing we're going to do then, we're going to switch back to nav mode. and we're going to go on the upfront display where it says FPA 01, we're going to put in FPA 02.
I think you can also... Can't you also use the plus-minus switch?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, if you want to, you can click the arrow, and then there's a little flip switch. You can right-click or left-click, and that'll scroll through. We're all pretty good on score. Someone's got 199 score, still climbing. 204. Yeah, we caused quite a deluge down there. But yeah, disengage autopilot, and we'll start heading over towards. I'm doing a right turn now, and we are going to go over to waypoint 2.
Nice life. I think you're getting pretty close.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm right
Yeah.
below you. Separating. I'm low.
So, why haven't I got a range on the target? On the waypoint, rather. So what I've set up for waypoint 2 is on the main runway. I've set up 20 main battle tanks, 20 IFVs, and 20 inert SA-15s. So we're going to have a crack with the laser-guided rockets now. So on the way in, we're going to go to air-to-ground mode, and you should automatically have, because I think it does it automatically. You should have the laser rockets now. So BRM arm.
Mm-hmm.
On the I use the central MFD because I like having the horizontal situation display there. So on the central MFD, press the center bottom button, and then top right pod, top right WMD7, and then where it says off, press that, and click on the uncage.
Got it.
Yep.
And then you can press the refocus button. Now it's a pretty accurately modeled thing to the point where it will be out of focus and things. And you can now use your axis to zoom in and your little hat to move it around. Your
I've
lock
been
button.
muted for God knows how long.
Say again?
I've been muted for God knows how long.
Oh right.
Ah,
Thought you were a bit quiet.
I'm gonna kill myself.
So you can now use that your laser pod to zoom in and pick out a target. On the right hand side you've got wide and narrow. At the moment it's just in CCD, which is TV mode. You can have it in IR mode or whatever. So try and zoom in and pick out a tank or whatever, and try and get a lock on it. And you
Did you change the laser codes?
No. See, I knew I'd forget this. I made myself a note and I knew I'd forget it. Where it's set, thank you very much. On the right hand side it says code. Press that and type in your code. So I'm 1681 and you'll be 168 whatever.
Mine is already set.
go 1683. Yeah, mine's
Yep.
now set.
Cool. And basically we're going to fly around this area, and you tend to need to fly a bit quite far away, maybe 5 or 6 miles, and get a lock, and then you can fire in. You can go in and fire. Now the HUD will cue you to fire when you're in about 4 miles, but when you get a bit of practice in, you can loft them probably 8 to 10 miles, which is really useful. So get the laser lock. Ideally it'll say point track. It'll say either INS area or INS point. Point is more accurate. And then fly in towards the target. It'll say shoot. Fire your rocket off, and your rocket will laze its way towards the target.
Okay, I now know why you said it's slow.
Yeah, it takes you a while to do it, but I see what you mean. The
Targeting
pod
pod.
moving around. Yeah. If you want it to move faster at this stage, put it on wide mode and zoom out, and it moves a bit faster.
Do
I
you
will
need
definitely
to
have
do anything to actually get the laser on, or does it auto laser?
No, the laser auto turns on whenever you've got the whenever you fire the rocket, the laser auto fires, which is a really nice feature. You can manually turn the laser on, but laser burnout is modelled.
Yep.
Yeah, you need to also do manual lasing if you do body lasing, by the way.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
Okay, I definitely need to change bindings on this thing because the axis I set is trash for doing thing.
Pistol tank from the north.
Yep. And what's quite nice is the laser pod has quite a it can shoot not properly behind you, but probably about 4 or 5 o'clock. So you can fire, turn away, and because the belly of your aircraft is pointing towards the target, you can use your horizontal situation display to get about 4 o'clock from the target, until you can keep it painted the whole time. It may have fired its missiles at you, but you're moving away from it.
That's cool.
Should it oh yeah, okay, it disables automatically.
There you go, gotcha. And so I fired there, and I didn't get closer than 6 miles to that tank, or that SAM, before it got taken out, which is what I was doing on Jeff. On calling him Jeff now. This is it's a mental disease.
Lost it.
I've lost it. On Kev's campaign, where it was the hold the line, that's what I was doing. I was able to get a laser lock or a laser point on a SAM, fire at about 8 to 10 miles, and then slowly turn away while keeping it painted. It had fired its SAM at me by that point, but I was moving away and outranged it, and it obviously couldn't outrun the rocket. So they're really useful, and I say they are probably the Jeff's best weapon. They're absolutely fantastic. You carry 32 of these things. You can take out a main battle tank. Probably takes 2 to hit them from behind. Takes 3 from the side and 4 from the front. So
Okay,
you can.
my pod does no longer want to lock.
It can be a little bit finicky sometimes.
Yeah. Uncage, recage, or cage and then uncage again.
Did you try to fire multiple missiles and then with
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
seconds apart, and then just
Yeah.
steer?
If you
can just
get
spam
comfortable
them out.
enough with it, if you're comfortable enough with it, you can fire with, I don't know, a 5-second time. And if you're quick enough, you can go bam, 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 bam. It's not ideal. It's certainly not what the Harrier A10 can do. Yeah, with practice, it can absolutely be done. I'm not that good yet.
Let's try.
Yeah, go for it. The thing to remember is you obviously have blind spots, so if you turn into the target, your aircraft is masking the laser, and likewise, if it gets, I think within about maybe 5 to 7 o'clock, it masks it, and as soon as it masks it, it's not being lased, so the rocket generally misses.
Yep.
I think I was out of range.
The way to cheat, if you want to try and fire it out of launch parameters, is you've got one circle on there which is on the target, and you've got one circle which is where your rockets would hit if they were to dumb fire. And if you can line your dumb fire one up just above the target one, that means the rocket would have enough range to hit it, and then the laser
Pull
will
up,
take
pull
over,
up,
if that makes
pull up.
sense.
I think I haven't hit a single one yet.
You made sure you change your laser code, right?
Mine was already 1682.
Even on the bottom of your TGP.
Yeah, make sure the TGP.
Yep. Reconfirm TGP. Just input it.
Yeah. So on your targeting thing, on the the right hand side, third one down where it says code, press that, and then type your code in again.
Yeah, that might have been the issue. I
Yeah.
didn't change the TGP.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The ground crew will change it for the weapons, but you have to manually change it for the targeting pod, and you have to remember to do it in the air. And of course, I forgot there, so it's... I'm demonstrating how easy it is to do. But hopefully you'll see, I'm using the airspace things as a guide, and I just find it so useful to maintain situational awareness.
So I just managed to get it that I fired 2 rockets and hit 2 different targets.
Nice.
Time to feed the second belt of ammo.
You gunning things?
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love the Jeff's gun for ground attack. It's so great.
For ground attack, it is really nice. I agree. We'll have a crack at strafing things in a minute. So everyone, let me know when they're bored of rocketing, and we'll dump the pods and have a crack at ground strafing.
Okay,
And then the aircraft will be.
I definitely hit something now, so it was the laser code, but I have once again not be. Once again, it didn't lock.
Hmm.
It did
Tracking.
sometimes.
Make sure,
but
Tracking.
not
make
reliably.
sure if you're firing close range, it doesn't have enough time to maneuver.
Tracking.
Yeah.
Tracking.
Try and
Tracking.
go a bit further out and try and line up the 2 circles so you're helping the rocket as best you can.
Yeah.
The rocket hit, just the targeting pod didn't lock.
Oh right, okay.
Okay, I'm 7 miles out again.
And it can seem like you've missed because the rocket's travel time is quite slow, and then suddenly, bam, and it'll go up. Yeah.
Now it's a lock. Hey, I think I know how they work. Just needs training.
Yep, I'm happy to go into guns if you're
Oh.
that.
Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to jettison the pods. So just get your aircraft flying straight and level. And on the left-hand MFD, on the bottom row, you've got CLR, CMBT, and Jet. Press Jet. And then on the top row, we're going to select pylons 2 and 6,
Warning.
and then hold weapons pickle,
Warning.
and that will dump off the rocket pods.
Warning.
You can't dump
Warning.
your target pod or your self-protection
Warning.
jammer. So
They
you're
are
now
too
in a
expensive.
they are. So you're in a pretty light configuration now.
Warning.
You've only got 2 side
Warning.
ones on the wings, full fuel internal because we've got unlimited, and your pod. So you can now press the SMS button
Warning.
on the bottom row, and that will get you back to your stores management
Warning.
system.
Just left. Time to say hello to a tank with 13 Pringle scans.
Yep. Next thing you want to do is on the left hand side it says gun. Press that, and that will start to flash.
Yep.
And then when the square around that is solid, press the feed button, which is on the top row, and that'll flash and then go solid. No, sorry, and then it'll go off. Now if you press your gunfire button, just hold it for a brief second, just make sure your gun actually fires, because you haven't got much ammo.
Great.
You should get a small burst. Now, On your HUD,
Just a moment, to jettison, it was go to the selective jettison thing, then select 3 and 5 and hold pickle.
2 and 6.
2 and... Oh,
Because 3 and 5 are the inner pylons. You want to jettison the rocket pods.
now they're gone, okay.
Yeah. And then you can go down to the those modes that selected what G limits were on and turn AG to AA, because we've got no loadout now. The pod doesn't count. So now you've turned your G limiter off and you're fully maneuverable. And if you're still in gun mode, if you look on your HUD, there is a very small square. That is your bore sight, and then there is another square which is moving around, and that
crossed.
Yeah, by
cross
square,
even.
cross.
Sorry, I'm too tired. It's been a long week, long weekend even. Kids. Yeah,
what
the
was it
bigger.
again to get to the gun?
So go to when you've got your stores management display up again. On the left-hand side, there's gun. Press that, and that will flash, and then become that becomes solid square. And then press the feed button, and that will flash, and then the square will go away again.
Yep.
That was close.
And
Whoever
now,
that was.
if you fire,
Yeah.
if you fire just for a second, you'll fire a few guns, and then you're in anti-ground mode. So the big cross is where your aiming point is. So line that big cross up on your target you want to go for, and open fire.
The big cross.
Yeah, there's a big cross that moves around, and there's a small cross that stays stationary.
Probably
It's a
because I'm
big-
not in...
big- Big cross with a circle in the middle, in the dead center.
That's
and this is
probably
where we-
because I'm
No
looking
more
at the horizon
gun.
and I'm not
I
seeing
am
it.
out of gun.
Doing gun run from the west.
Doing gun run from the east.
Doing gun run from the
What
south.
could go wrong?
This is gonna go wrong. Wrong quickly.
It's gonna go wrong.
Yeah.
It's weird being able to pull the stick all the way without having to worry about thing breaking.
Yeah, the fly-by-wire is pretty good in this. It's not as good as something like a Hornet or a
Pull up.
the Viper, but
pull
it's pretty good. It generally won't let you ruin things.
See what you mean by you don't have much ammo?
Yeah, the ammo is very limited.
You have 2 feeds as well.
Yeah.
3, I think. I think
Oh.
it's 3, like in the MiG-21. But
Who's tracking me?
I might have picked 2 armored targets for this, to be honest.
You can get the BTRs and the Tors. Can't
Yeah.
touch the tanks with the cannon.
But yeah, now you've got
up,
effectively
pull up,
you've taken
pull up.
the limits off. So feel free to
Altitude,
throw your planes around and
altitude,
see what maneuverability
altitude.
you can get out of them. It tends to lose speed quite quickly, so you need to be if you're trying to do a rate fight, you need to be relatively disciplined. But it turns best between about 350 to
Cracking,
400 knots.
cracking.
Got tone
when-
on Kevin.
If you keep in that range, you can really throw it around.
Cracking, cracking, cracking.
And I probably shouldn't have to say this, but try not to shoot each other down, Army. Because I'm going to try and get everyone to land the plane over back at our home field.
I'm just trying to do... Oh, probably because it's... Ah, no, now it works, okay. I need to invert the axle.
And occasionally, unlike the MiG-21 actually, even though it's the same system, it's modelled that your gun sometimes will lose charge, lose prime, whatever the term is, so you'll need to refeed it.
I mean, the big tournament has that now, unless you, do, oh, I see what you're talking about. No, it has 2 belts you feed. It's dual feed.
Oh, really?
They're
Okay.
2 separate belts. Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So once half the ammo's out, you have to refeed the second belt.
Gotcha. No, I wasn't aware of that. Every day's a school day.
Okay, yeah, this thing really is terrible for the access I wanted to use it for. Jesus! Please stop! I stopped turning it! It's still going up!
What is it?
The axis I bound for the radar elevation and also
Oh, I
the zoom.
see. Yeah.
It doesn't.
There is axis and a slider. You should use slider. If you have a slider for it.
I mean, I'm using the thumb wheel on the sticks.
Hi, Kevin.
Alright.
And dead.
Who did?
And once again dead.
But the Jeff has surprising maneuver. Well, I suppose it's not so surprising because it's so small. But I think it
Pull up. Pull up.
surprises
pull up.
people because it really can move around. If you get it in the right speed bracket, as long as you're not going too fast, the G limiter doesn't activate, and then you can really throw it around.
Yeah.
You
I
sure
just
I'm
did a
not allowed to
low-speed
shoot
knife
down
fight with
army?
fucking. We
I
just did
think-
a
I think we might
low-speed
allow that one.
knife fight. Oh, that was a missile! Jesus fucking Christ, Kevin!
Hello. What's
It's
Kevin doing?
okay, it missed you.
He's trying to kill me!
He's always trying to kill you. Get with the program, bro.
Well, I don't get any IFF return.
What are you guys flying?
Jeff's,
Jeff.
and he's actually missiling him.
Yeah, he missed both of them.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's probably lucky.
Oh, we got a RTB now.
I think we better RTB
longer.
and not kill each other. Yes, we have gone on for a while.
Someone
Thank
else
you.
shot a missile at me.
There wasn't.
I'm
Right.
booting up DCS now.
Right, everyone go back to nav mode and select 03 as our waypoint.
I haven't got the Jeff. Is this going to be a problem?
Well, it's basically over, so.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
There's
Oh.
been much talking by me. Hopefully some of it was useful, and we're going to go back home now.
If you want to catch up, it's all going to be uploaded to YouTube as a VOD because I'm testing the live streaming now, so you can watch
Yay!
all 3 hours in real time.
Sounds
Plus
good.
half hours without sound.
That's not so
See,
good.
what are you two idiots doing? Am I catching up? Yes, I am.
I love doing rolling scissors in this thing.
It's insane how much you can whip the nose around. Once you get down to like 180, 200 knots.
Dagger, 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 dagger. Yeah, it is.
Waypoint
3.
03. Enter.
Who am I
I'm
locked
being
on there?
tracked.
Oh, it's you.
Hi.
Must resist urge to pull trigger. Right. So yeah, we're going to head back to waypoint 1. Feel free to open the taps and see how fast you can get it on the deck.
She does in fact schmoove. It's not F-16 fast, but it's still pretty
Yeah.
damn fast.
It does
Waypoint
go.
1, 0, right?
Or
03.
You can have 00 or 03. We set them at the same.
Yep.
But the nice thing about 03, having set 03 is all of the airfields nearest your final waypoint destination are manually put in. So if, for example, you were running low on fuel, you can press the arrow next to FPAA and press BNG. And that will find you the nearest airfield to you and get you everything set up you need to land.
BNG.
Which is bingo, as in, so you're telling the system, suddenly I'm low on fuel, and it will load up everything you need to land.
Yeah, but whether bingo, whether BNG.
If you go back to FPA, if you click the arrow next to FPA, and then BNG.
Oh, there, okay.
Yep. And then
My
if you want,
IFF doesn't seem to be working.
Yep. Then you can press the FPA or the BNG again and do CRS,
Did we
and that
actually
goes back
turn
to.
on the IFF during startup?
Yeah. No, I'm hitting the wrong button. I'm trying to figure what is my IFF.
I set it to 6 M6 plus. But
Oh,
I missed
that's
that.
what I
You're
said.
absolutely right, Kev. I did miss that step. If you go to on the up front panel, sorry, I do have it on my kneeboard, but I missed it out. If you press button 8 IFF, that's where you select your modes. So if you press M1, M1 is sort of magic IFF that most servers have enabled, and that generally works fine. But you can put one of the other modes in and put a code in, and it'll work properly.
Oh, that you mean mode 6?
Yeah, mode 6 it's a sort of mythical mode.
Yeah. No wonder I'm not getting IFF returned
Yes.
for anyone.
Yeah,
I'm the only
whoops.
one in mode 6.
I missed the step of telling everyone to turn off IFF. My apologies. That's on the kneeboards.
Pull up, altitude.
So when you get close
Altitude.
into the field, make sure you've got 03 selected, as in waypoint
Yeah, now one of you
03.
guys is coming up.
And then you can press next to FPA, you can press APR, which is approach mode, and that will change your change your horizontal situation display to show the flight path you need to go in to make a landing.
Hang on, do what now with the hoop now?
So if you go back to on the upfront display, you've got FP-A next to your 03.
Right, yep.
Yeah.
Press the arrow next to that, and then press the third one down on the right, APR,
Oh.
and that
Monkey.
will set up everything you need to get into the field. Now the field we're going into is 50 because it's our starting field. Your ground crew automatically put in the closest 10 fields to your final waypoint, so you've got loads of alternate fields. And if you zoom in with your horizontal situation display, you'll see a big circle. That is your point at which you can, sort of. It's a point where you can lose height to get on final. It's not strictly a pattern.
Okay.
And then if you get on that circle and follow it all the way up to where it says 50, that direction towards the 50 number, that's the direction you land at. And the square should be on the runway.
I'm
And if
assuming we
the
don't
airfield-
land at
I just
Macron.
have 50 circled.
Yeah.
I don't
If
see
the
a
airfield
square.
has ILS, it will
you know,
automatically be set up. But I couldn't find an airfield around here that had it, so we're just going to do a
Yeah.
self-controlled approach.
We do be in the Caucasus.
Yeah, there are a few, but they tend to be not this part of the map.
It's
by the
like
time-
Krasnodar Center and shit.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going into Krasnodar Center, but this doesn't actually have IFF. There's a few on
Oh,
the.
it doesn't?
I don't think so. Not that I could see. It's things like
Pull up.
Sochi and Gdansk seems to have it.
I mean,
So I'm-
they have radio nav ILS beacons here. It just, I guess it's not set up properly.
It might be that, or it might be the Russian equivalent ones, the RSBN,
What
PRMG
is
rather.
land speeding? Landing
Probably come down 250, 300, something like that when you lower your gear. And then you've got your little, you'll have your speed carrot that you can follow. From what I gather, it's exactly like an F-16 landing.
Yeah,
Just
pretty
don't-
much.
Don't lower your gear too fast. I think less than 300 is fine.
Yeah, under 300 I've never had an issue. Hell, even a bit above 300 I've not had an issue.
And don't forget, you've got a brake parachute, which is really helpful. And again, unlike an F-16, you've got flaps, your manual flaps. So on the approach, make sure you put your gear down, your flaps down, and then when your wheels are down, when your wheels touch, deploy your braking parachute, and you can get a really nice short field landing.
I accidentally binded my speed brakes backwards. So I don't know why they weren't working.
Ah.
Five is downwind.
10 is on
Altitude.
short final.
Altitude.
Gear
Altitude.
down. Flaps down. Five turning base.
Parachute out.
Sometimes you can almost do a vegan with that chute. You can really get it in a
Yeah.
small space.
Five short final.
So where's the parachute release thing?
To cut it.
Yeah.
On the left-hand side, next to the left-hand MFCD, you've got up, deploy, and the switch down jettisons it.
Yeah, I think it's, what is it, left click to go down?
Yeah, I think it's left click. Yeah, one's left click, one's right click to do.
10's clear of the runway.
Was
The
hard.
unfortunate thing is, if you accidentally hit fucking jettison and not deploy, it'll just poop out the back.
I've never tried that, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just, oh, you wanted to use your chute, how about no?
Oh, there we go. I have landed.
Nice. So yes, I was rambling quite a lot, but hopefully I went into it with enough detail for people,
Yep,
and
yep,
hopefully the systems make sense.
Thank you very much. That's reminded me of a couple of things that I needed a refresher on, and I'll be doing more of this soon. On
Cool.
contention, probably.
Yes, I'm looking
I
forward
am
to
going to
that.
have to love you and leave you all now, though. 'cause
Yeah, no worries.
That's getting a bit late for me. But I will catch you lovely people soon.
Hi, Kevin.
Awesome. Cheers, man.
You
Boy.
son of a bitch.
That's a big explosion.
What did you hit me with?
Me.
With you. Yeah.
And there we go. Yes, it wouldn't be one of our missions without a colossal fireball over and ejecting.
Oh,
Trying to get towed by missile, but he turned towards me, so I couldn't get towed anymore. So like, I am the missile.
Oh dear. Well, thank you everybody. I will catch you at some point.
Cool. Cheers, man.
nerd.
Nerd.
Ugh.
Boy.
Oh boy.
I need to go eat food now. I haven't eaten yet today.
Food does sound like a good thing, especially if you're starving yourself for no apparent reason.
Yeah. Well, it's because I just got back from the store right as the shit was starting, so I'm like, well, I don't have time to make food.